What am I doing? Oh, oh, here we go. All right. Let's see. Share. I'm just setting up YouTube. All right. There we go. And let me do this background here. And of course, we're waiting for the judge to come on. Hi, everybody on YouTube. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Let's see, what is this? No. There, that's better. All right. All right. I need to I think I'm gonna take out I'm gonna have to redo this title. Arrest Obama crack. I think I'm gonna keep it the way I had it. Crackhead Hunter Biden and Dusty Pan Africans. Yeah. Open mic. Crackhead Hunter Biden and Dusty Pan Africans. Yeah. I'll leave that like that for right now. Let me call the judge to see where he's at. I did text him the link. Uh,
Yes,
you got the link?
checking now. Okay, let's see. Looks like it. Okay.
Okay, so come on now. I started.
All right.
All right. All right, so he should be coming up. Oh, and YouTube, the title is, and of course we got to talk about it here on X, Jamal Warren. You know what? Let me take out the crackhead Hunter Biden and put in um, Malcolm Jamal Warner. Malcolm Jamal Warner. Well, I could leave him. And then and Dusty Pan Africans. Yeah. Plus, let me see if I can add the plus crackheads, crackhead, crackhead Biden. Yeah. All right. I may end up changing it again, but on YouTube, what did I put on YouTube as the title? I be forgetting my own damn titles. Bear with me, guys, because every time when I start a space, it takes me a minute to get stuff together because I'm operating on YouTube as well. So I have to make sure everything is up and working and functioning. Oh, remembering Michael Jamal Warner's legacy and his impact on FBA representation. Maybe I'll switch this title to that. It is open mic, so everybody knows open mic is whatever you guys want to talk about, plus, whatever I put in the title. And I'm starting to realize if I just put one title, open mic, and then put one title, I can still talk about all the other things instead of putting a whole bunch of stuff and, different things in the title. Hi, Joe. I got your message. I did a thumbs up. So you said this Friday. I'm good to go. So just keep me posted. And we're just waiting for the judge. I just called him. He got the link. He's hopping on and he should be coming up any minute now because this is his X Space on Tuesdays. So yeah. So what we got? Michael Jamal Warner, Dusty Pan Africans, because y'all dusty as hell. And the reason why I call y'all dusty is because you're very nasty. Y'all have no power. You sit and complain, and you know you're part of the. You want to colonize Black Americans with the Africans. Like, come on, y'all just don't do shit. And then, of course, crackhead Biden. And I'm hearing that Trump is going to open up an investigation on Obama, calling for Obama to be arrested for treason. Mr. Untouchable. Hey, Joe. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I don't want to break your stride. I was just going to tell you that I'll put you and the four other jurors. Unless you have four mutuals you want to do this with, I'll give you the whole show this week if you have four people you'd like to do it with. But I'll deal with you on TMs, not interrupt your show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I guess we'll just talk. We'll talk on the DMs. Um, All right, but again, it always takes a minute for the judge to come up. I don't know where Peter is at, honey. He knows we have the space on Tuesdays. I sent him a message. He has been MIA lately, and I know he's been doing this crypto shit. So I don't know where he's at. Maybe he's out of town vacation, but I did tell Peter that we have to go back to doing our own X spaces because Tuesdays, like I said, this is really the judge's space. Um, so yeah. So and I'm going crazy over this damn title. I'm definitely gonna leave Michael Jamal Warner because I want to talk about his representation being a black man and his representation on television and off television, how he lived his life. And that's very important on how he portrayed himself when a Cosby Show ended. And if you look at all of the characters and the actors and actresses from that show, you have not heard them get into any trouble, no drama, no drugs, none of that. So he displayed positive black boy growing into a black man representation, just positive representation, breaking down all of the stereotypes. And I really appreciate that. So I just, throughout this show, if you guys want to, remember his legacy, acknowledge him, his body of work, what the Cosby Show and his character Theo meant to you. And you don't have to be black to comment on that as well. And of course, I have dusty Pan Africans, right? Because y'all dusty. Now, listen, I do know some Pan Africans that are cool as hell, but it's just that lately, y'all just been crashing out, particularly on X. Here we go. Y'all just been crashing out, and especially trying to link up with the African Union for this African diaspora reparations shit. Just doing too much. I'm about to send you the co-host link, Judge. I just sent you the co-host link. Can you hear me?
Roger that.
Okay. So yeah, so a couple of dusty Pan Africans call themselves trying to cuss me out. Like I don't care. They sound like they were just crashing out. So the reason why, and so part of the Dusty Pan Africans is to kind of readdress this African Union trying to parlay Black Americans in their so-called worldwide diaspora reparations BS, colonizing, just basically colonizing our reparations fight. And of course, crackhead Biden. He did a train wreck interview, where he talked about the immigrants and saying a whole bunch of F's, and then he started talking about how you make crack. And I'm like, he's crazy. Why hasn't he been arrested? Right? And Obama, and then whatever you guys want to talk about, because it's open mic. You don't have to adhere to what I put in the title. It could be anything else. So how are you, Judge?
I'll manage at least in a mad rush.
Mm-hmm. So guys, please request to come up. Hi, Joe. So and now we have Joe Dolo. So did you want to start off, Joe? Do you want to say anything or talk about something in particular?
The Biden interview, I watched, that thing's like 3 hours. I watched a considerable amount of it. I hadn't watched all of it yet. There's some parts in there that I think he gets down and is kind of like a real person, talking about his addiction, talking about his shortcomings in life. I thought I'll give him a little credit for that, but yeah, he flies off the deep end. I just don't think he's a credible person at all. But I don't know why he's doing the interview. I guess is where I should lead out with. I'm not sure why he's doing this interview. He really doesn't have anything to gain. He's not going to improve his image. And I don't know that he's coming out with a book. Maybe he's got some more paintings coming out, but I think somehow or another the interview is self-serving.
I didn't understand why he did the interview either. And this is why the Democrats have a very low rating, approval rating.
I have an idea.
I'd love to hear it.
It's the typical stunt that a stupid brain smashed crackhead will do. It's stuck on stupid. And I just grinned when I went back into it after you sent it to me, Dana. Um, he got pardoned, so he doesn't really have any Fifth Amendment protection because he doesn't need it, so he can't evoke it. But they can put him on a witness stand or put him in front of a grand jury and absolutely compel him in criminal or civil matters to testify on pain of contempt and being locked up until the grand jury dissolves itself. And you can get multiple grand juries and compel him to testify against others. I read to my heart's content the downloads of the 3, not 1, Biden laptops. Um, it's very incriminating to a lot of people. And I just got tickled and giggled when I contemplated the ramifications. So I'm looking forward to it.
Judge, can you explain that? So he's got kind of a blanket pardon. So during a time period, any federal crimes he can't be charged with. Is that the same as if you and I robbed a bank and I turned state's evidence against you, so I got immunity so that I would tell what
No,
you
it's
did,
not.
even though it would incriminate me?
In other words, if somebody gives you a pardon for the bank robbery, it has nothing to do with that. But since you have no jeopardy to criminal prosecution, you have no Fifth Amendment privilege to revoke or
But
right to evoke.
is that not the same if I
So
get
you
an
can be
immunity deal?
compelled to testify. That's what they did with Dr. Cosby. A DA who occupied the office wrote a letter and a finding to the civil judge that said, we have absolutely no intent to prosecute Dr. Cosby. We have investigated this matter. We find the claim to be fraudulent. Okay. The civil judge said, well, Mr. Cosby, Dr. Cosby, you no longer have a right to be free from self incrimination because you face no jeopardy. You are compelled to testify in a deposition. And in a civil matter, a deposition can be used against you. So the newly elected DCA said we had no intent to be bound by that previous agreement. We intend to prosecute him. So they prosecuted him. They got a conviction, not because he admitted to doing any wrong. He just admitted to doing some of the acts, but said they were consensual. So when he gets convicted, they offered him a deal. If you admit your guilt, we'll let you out immediately. He had the fortitude to say, go to hell. And the Supreme Court of the state said what I said, you can't do that. So he's out. And he showed a lot of moral courage and fortitude and doing what he did and refusing to let them get away with it. But you see, with Hunter Biden, he has no liability to criminal process. So he can be compelled to testify. I have, as a judge, from time to time, ordered that somebody be held on a material witness bond. In other words, you either are confined in jail until you testify, since there's no jeopardy that you face, or you post a bond so you can be released from custody pending your delivery of testimony. See, people have the idea that I don't want to prosecute him anymore. I had him arrested, but we've made up. No, you don't have that right. It is up to state because the crime is something against the public peace, dignity, and order, not the interest of any one individual. So the state has this order that it wants to maintain, and it can do so. And it can compel people to testify by simply granting them immunity from prosecution, and they have to. That's why you get the situation of, Stormy Daniels, when she testified against President Trump. I imagine they were threatening her with prosecution for blackmailing him, which is what she seems to have done based on our testimony. And they went and did their thing. So she was trying to get what they call testimonial immunity. In other words, anything she testified to, she was immune from prosecution for. So the more you testify, the more you yak, the more you run your mouth, the more immunity you get. Ordinarily, a prosecutor might cut you off or cut the person off because they don't want to necessarily get them in a position of being free from any threat. But in this case, they were so interested in getting President Trump, they let that nonsense go on. But this is the same kind of thing with Hunter Biden. He doesn't have any liability, so he has no Fifth Amendment to claim, and you can compel him on pain of contempt of a grand jury, let's say, and hold him in custody or set a $50 million bond on him as a material witness. And you can compel him to yak, yak, yak against Hillary Clinton, his daddy, a lot of people in the chain. Justice Department, State Department, all kinds of things. Barack Obama. Oh, yes. You can go after a lot of people and see. I guess Daddy thought he was being nice, but maybe in his condition of senility, he wasn't contemplating the extrapolated consequences of doing what he did. Now, I'll pass the mic, but that ought to be something that's tantalizing.
Okay. Dolo, and then we have Sway Me, then B Wayne. Dolo, did I say it right? Or Dulo? You're
Hello?
muted.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Judge, can you hear Dana?
Can you hear me, Judge?
He may be in that co-host hole.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't hear anybody, so I'm going to duck out and come back in.
Go out and come back in. And then I don't know what's going on with Dolo. So I'm gonna go to Sway Me.
Hi, Dana. Hi,
Hi.
Judge. I know Judge is going down and coming back up, but um, just to acknowledge, of course, I am the Malcolm Jamal Warner hits hard because, yes, like you stated earlier, his representation as a black man in America um, on and off screen was exceptional. He stood in that. And I posted it in the Purple Pill where he performed in Minneapolis, Minnesota with the orchestra, and he did his poetry, and he stood on his blackness and being a freedman. It's a phenomenal poetry reading or speech. And I think everybody should listen to it because it is something he did before his greatest, or one of his latest works, I should say, before he transitioned. So along with his hip hop poetry album, which I do have, I purchased it, loved everything he had on it, and what he was representing and speaking on. Now, the Dusty Pan Africans. We've been knowing that these beings have been coming up against us for a while. I now see you are now on the train, Dana, of understanding that these are enemies on our soil and attempting to erase us, freedmen, Black Americans, and make sure that somehow we are African in 2025 when we are the Americans, the authentic original Americans made on the soil. We are not just African. We know we're amalgamated beings with various admixtures from European nationalities to native tribes to the African tribes. And anybody that is American and knows American history uh, can know that, right? And this whole getting us off of our land, our soil, while the Africans come here to take our place, and then they won't even go build up their own countries or the continent of Africa, and has all kinds of resources and minerals. Hence the reason I said, let's go and get what we want from Africa. Forget negotiating trade deals. Just go take it at this point in time. I'm not going to speak on crackhead Biden because it should be obvious by now who these people are and what they're doing. They're leading a full-fledged coup d'etat of our American government right now. Anybody that don't want to acknowledge that, I think they just want to live in denial and don't want to live in reality. We have immigrants that have come to the country, gotten become legal citizens, and now have to helping to implement a coup d'etat with other illegal immigrants. That's the way I see it and what's happening right now. And the other thing is, I want to talk about the MLK files because it just really reiterates that he was killed because he was standing. He became woke, real woke, like the rest of us, consciously aware that there's a ploy in this government and with these immigrants that are now legal in our government, and making sure that we don't get to adhere to our First Amendment rights as everyone else does. And it's very obvious, and I cannot wait until the ruling on the 14th Amendment. Again, I will reiterate, we are in a coup d'etat. Legal immigrants are now allowing illegal immigrants to come into the country and now want to change the American doctrines so it could become a socialist fascist country, not a republic that is based on democracy. And I'll land it there.
Um, thank you, Sway Me. Real quick, Judge, I sent you a co-host request. Did you get it? Can you hear me? You have to unmute.
I hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
And I sent you the
All
co-host.
right, co-host request. All right. Now I'll accept it. Let me say something about that. What's released on the MLK situation, assassination situation, is not new. It's been out there since 1990. Congress passed an act then. George Herbert Walker Bush, president, signed off on it, and also an executive order to help it be effectuated. President William Clinton signed another executive order to help it out, and it was all available from a repository on 14th Street in downtown DC for quite a while. It developed that eventually closed up, and it's now archived in an institution in Bethesda. What Trump is doing is simply publishing it, because before you had to make a specific request for documents. I've seen damn near everything that they claim to be releasing 30 years ago. Most people don't realize this, but I was the last judge on the James Earl Ray case, and the FBI, though it's not stated explicitly, had absolutely no interest in King's civil rights activities, because that was a dead issue in 1967 and 68, but the NOM was hot and heavy. And the internal memoranda exchanged by the FBI revealed that they were very concerned about him perhaps galvanizing the anti-war movement like he did the civil rights movement and revitalizing labor. And I have seen internal memoranda discussing whether King would be more dangerous alive doing that, revitalizing labor and galvanizing the anti-war movement, or dead as a martyr, perhaps indicating that people were still concerned about civil rights, which wasn't an issue at that point because all of the laws necessary to effectuate civil rights had been passed by that point in time. But this was 1968 when he was assassinated in early April. You had the Tet Offensive conducted in the beginning of that year, where the North Vietnamese leadership showed the American public that they were being lied to. You had the report from the great Walter Cronkite, who came back and candidly reported on the state of affairs in the Nam. You had what happened that same year to Robert Kennedy. You had a lot of things going on. You had thousands of people demonstrating heavily in D.C. and other cities around the country. You had the police citizen riot in Chicago at the Democratic Party convention. You had LBJ indicating that he would not seek nor accept the nomination of his party, and candidly saying his lack of knowledge of diplomacy and warfare had led the U.S. to an untractable position. There was a lot going on. And you have the invoice of 5 new Army sniper rifles going to the FBI, along with 5,000 rounds of ammunition. The rifle is identical ballistically to what they found King was shot with. The ammunition is identical to what they pulled out of his body. He was shot early April 1968. Late April 1968, Justice Department ordered these experimental rifles returned to the Department of Defense. The FBI claims they lost one after conducting an inventory and only returned 4. The serial numbers are known, and the missing serial numbered rifle is the murder weapon. The FBI recruited a 2-man sniper team from the Marine Corps Sniper School in Quantico, Virginia, right across the tarmac from their training facility. He supplied the ammunition, the weapon, and the place of the assassination was the fire department, not the flop house, not the bushes, and it was a 2-man team. You'll probably never know the identity of the shooter and the spotter because it's military and it's subject to all sorts of security and confidentiality concerns. But you know how it was done, what entity did it, and what it was for. So this so-called stuff is not new. It's just being published without a request being made. So keep that into consideration. Pay attention to your history instead of getting worked up over stuff that they throw at you. Now I pass the mic.
B. Wayne, and then we have Brooklyn.
Oh, thank you. I didn't want to derail the conversation. My question to Judge was just about Hunter, but we kind of moved past that. So
No. It's open mic, so you could bring up whatever.
oh, okay. It's just a real quick question, and it's all speculation I'm asking for. But why do you think they had him do that interview? Because he's got a PR team, and everything he said, the way that he presented himself, it was all negative. Like, so is that them throwing him under the bus, or do you think that they were trying to do some damage control? Because I didn't see the point of that interview.
What you did not see is in fact the case. There was no point. But you have to understand that for the last several decades, the Democratic Party has been used to having a very friendly press who always is into his beliefs. He's contrite. He apologizes. It's okay because he's sorry now. That doesn't cut it. And what he sounded like was a stupid criminal who is a con man that's in front of me for sentencing, and he's trying to explain himself and beg for some kind of mercy from the court. And it didn't wash out. It shows an uncontrite individual who's trying to blame his being a crackhead for what he did. And as the law says, voluntary intoxication is no defense to the crime that may have been committed while under the influence. In other words, you just push the intent step back one place. I didn't intend to do it because I was high. Well, you intended to get high. Well, I was addicted. Well, you took it the first time or two or three and got yourself addicted. So you intended that. So the intent does not leave you. Being high or intoxicated is no defense to any crime. It may mitigate certain circumstances, but it's certainly not an offense. And you can think of DUI or public drunkenness as specific crimes or public intoxication that revolve around the consequences of voluntarily getting yourself wasted. So these people are not really off into understanding the laws that they've sworn to uphold or that they operate under. They're ignorant. And you have Mayor Bass in Los Angeles on air just the other day. You have the Governor Newsom of California on air continuously. And they're talking about resisting ICE and pushing the stupid, stuck on stupid position that because people commit crime, egregious crime, break down the security of the United States, you've got Al Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, you've got Chinese nationals, you've got people from all over the world that mean us no good, who don't have B-2 bombers or B-52s or F-22s or F-35s. They can carry military-grade explosives across the border, implant them, and await the orders to flip the detonation switches and don't have to commit suicide in the process. And some foe wants to talk about that is of no consequence, and another goddamn foe, Hunter Biden, sits there and says they provide all sorts of labor that we need. Well, so do the people that purvey the crack he sprung on. So do we let the crackhead go? No, we don't. We prosecute them. And that's the same thing that needs to be happening with these people who may or may not represent exact terroristic threats to the United States to make 911 and Pearl Harbor look like little Boy Scout outings. So we have a national security problem. We have a domestic tranquility problem where thousands of rapists, murderers, thieves, convicted felons are now in our country with nobody to oversee them, who've been allowed to escape and get under the radar and set up criminalities again. Look at the gang activity we're seeing around the country. And clowns like the governor of California and the mayor of the second largest city in America say what they have to say and attempt to thwart efforts to enforce the law to protect the rest of us. It is absurd. Pass the mic.
Brooklyn. Brooklyn, are you there? Honey, where you at? It's too much noise. Yeah, mute up, honey, and just come back. Just let me know. Raise your hand when you someplace more quiet. Let me go to Linda, and then I'm gonna swing back to Sway Me.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Dana and Judge. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I know that you were talking about illegals. I just joined in terms of the what we're seeing right now in the urban communities. I live in an urban community, and the crime rate has certainly gone up, but the resources, again, like I have said previously, resources, even for the protection of people, are scattered to a more welcoming city. Our city has changed from being a city to a safe free zone for illegals has now turned into a welcoming city. They changed the nomenclature there to allow for the same benefits and services to go. And it's unfortunate that, we are seeing killing and shootings, especially of our young people, even now, especially during the summer while the school is out, are getting shot almost every other day here. And so they're talking about gun control. There is a lot of the dog whistles and issues, but the reality is that we cannot defund
Is something
policing.
going on with your audio? Are you on speaker or something?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I
better.
am. Is it my speaker?
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay. Yeah, so with what the judge said, that there is an invasion, there has been an invasion of the communities of color in particular are number one impacted by the lack of resources, services, protections, policing, and we are finding ourselves trying to and lack of education, quality education, and the like. I'm from Michigan. The city of Flint had a proposed conductor build plant, millions and billions of dollars for the city that is very depressed, and they pulled it. And it is, they're going back and forth on who's to blame, but the reality is that we don't have sufficient educated workforce to even meet that qualification. So I want to make sure that we are not leaving our own people behind, and we are not replacing the great replacement for illegals with people who are natural born citizens. Thank you.
Let me say this, if I can interject. We have the criminal justice system that has morphed from a crime control device to a labor control mechanism. Labor is a commodity like wheat, corn, or cotton, and our system has left everything to private enterprise. And there is no solution to the problem of high technology and computerization in the industrial sense, obsoleting a lot of the American workforce. So, since the workforce is becoming more and more obsolete, what's going on is you do what you do when you have any kind of surplus commodity, you store it. But instead of putting it in a grain silo or a goods warehouse, we put it into a people warehouse known as a penitentiary or a jail. So that's our solution to expand the criminal justice system to more efficiently scoop up surplus labor and put it where it is not going to negatively influence the marketplace. And it depends on people who are insufficiently prepared and who have a mindset that causes them to evoke the criminal justice process and get scooped up into this warehousing process. So, yeah, pass the mic.
What was it? Oh, Sweeney. Go ahead, Sweeney.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback a little bit on what you just said, Judge. We have those from the formerly incarcerated, that they do come out of serving their time, and some of them wrongfully convicted at that, right? Serving their time and still not being able to receive housing, jobs, because they still have that scarlet letter of being convicted felon on their records, and then we still have people out here discriminating against them, getting these jobs, right? Because a lot of these construction jobs can be for the formerly incarcerated. We know this, right? They can be tradesmen. They can come as apprenticeship and things of that nature. So I do believe that there's plenty of Americans out here, especially Black men, that we harp on so much about not doing certain things, that now this is an opportunity for them to get some jobs, right? Especially in construction, which is, I know that that's been a lot of their job trades when they come out of prison or come out of jail. They're looking, most of them have, these skill sets that they can go into these positions. But what I really want to go into is that you stated that in California, the governor, and we know this is happening in Illinois too, the governor and the mayor working in consortium to obfuscate or just ignore federal laws. And really, I mean, they're against, they're against the federal law. So they're harboring illegals. They've been smuggling them, and they are willing to transport them or keep them in homes and give them money. Karen Bass is willing to give them money, and people are making other people running for office think it's cute to say to Black Americans or to the freedmen that the illegals got our reparations. So for me as a freedman, I'm hot. I'm really hot. That now we are literally seeing how illegal immigrants are being protected, and they're not citizens of this United States of America, have no contributions to this country. So, and then are we still going to sit here and act like what they're doing is not illegal and they should not immediately be pushed to the front of the line for prosecution as being traitors and treasonous against this government? What are your thoughts on that, Judge Joe Brown? Because now even the judges are doing the same thing, the same play. And to me, I said it just a few minutes ago. This country is in a coup d'etat because
Do you know what a
legal
coup
immigrants
d'etat
are
is?
helping illegal immigrants. But go ahead.
Do you know what a coup d'etat is?
Yes, I do.
Tell me.
It is when others in the government take over and try to implement a whole new form of government.
It's a revolution.
Oh, a coup
Now,
d'etat is a revolution.
yeah, in other words, somebody takes over the government forcibly, usually, and it's not what we have right now. But the other thing is there are thousands and thousands of judges in this country, and a very, very almost insignificant percentage are being heard from negatively, but that's not the whole thing. Now, if you want to be free, you have to divest yourself of the comforting mythologies that surround the term. There are not a lot of people wrongfully convicted in the penitentiaries. First off, just a little more than 2% of the people in the penitentiaries for the last 50 years got convicted by anybody, judge or jury. 97% pled guilty. 84 to 87% confessed. And when you look at the confessions, they are not coerced. Now, that said, we have to get beyond that and stop doing what we do to ourselves. You cannot put people to work who have no work ethic. You cannot put people to work who have no habit of work. You cannot put people to work who think that the world owes them something, and you cannot put people back to work when they think all they need to do is want something and they're supposed to get it. Work ethic is important. Do you believe in delivering what is necessary to properly earn your paycheck? Can you be relied upon to deliver a good performance on the job? How many people right now are at work, but instead of doing what the boss wants you to do, you're listening in on this X space while you're in your cubicle? See, it's a thing that lapses. They have an old saying, hard times make hard men. Hard men make good times. Good times produce weak men. Weak men produce hard times. It's a cycle. It's gone on all through the history of humanity. And by the way, one of the things that I would suggest to anybody is study formal propaganda. I'm not even going to comment on it because I'd get too much pushback from the people who have become so conditioned by it and so subject to it. But some of the things that people on here and elsewhere hold absolutely dear as things that they need to adhere to get free are actually things that they want you to strongly believe in so you will stay unfree. And one little clue, if somebody gives it to you, you haven't earned it. And if you haven't earned it, it can be taken back, because if you haven't earned it, you do not know how to keep it. And humanity is not the most selfless, charitable group of organisms that you can find. That's only an occasional spasm when guilt besets somebody's conscience or a group of people's conscience, and it does not stay long.
So I just want to clarify. You're saying that what they're doing in California and Illinois is not against the law.
I
That
didn't
what
say
they're doing
I
is
didn't
perfectly
say
fine.
that. I just said that they have been controlling the political and governmental process for several decades, and they are doing what they do, and I'll elaborate slightly on that. There's a thing called prosecutorial discretion. In the system that the United States follows, the prosecutors have absolute discretion to prosecute or not. They have chosen not to prosecute, but the law in question, take your pencil, pen out, write it down, and go look it up. It's United States Codes, Title 8, Section 1324. And it does not exempt people in an official capacity. In fact, it says official capacity is no exemption from application of the law. What you see Bass and Newsom doing are felonies. They're conspiring to break the law. And it ought to be interesting if, since this is a national situation, someone of the new Justice Department appointees for U.S. attorneys somewhere in their thousands in the United States picks a receptive jurisdiction and proceeds against the offenders by submitting the matters to grand juries, which are surely to result in various indictments, since giving aid, comfort, assistance, transportation, feeding, clothing, sheltering, attempt to shield from apprehension, detention, deportation, and prosecution, to advocate for, etc., provide government resources for the benefit of anybody in this illegal status is a felony under Title 8, Section 1324. I have said this multiple times for the last 5 or 6 months that we've been doing X-Base, but now I'd hope somebody would listen to it. And on my site, At Judge Joe Brown TV, I posted it often enough. Just scroll through there, you will find the law. So anyway, no, I'm not condoning what they're doing. It's felonious. And they could get some significant jail time. I think the guidelines, considering their positions as before the public and expected to be exemplars of good behavior, could get them about 10 years in a federal penitentiary, which is 120 months, of which they'd do about 116 before they were released from federal control. Maybe if they're real good, they might get 5 years, 60 months, out of which they do about 56.
But
Now, pass the mic.
is there anything the people can do on the ground right now with the
No, because
elected
we
officials?
don't believe in mob justice in the United States. We have procedures. The way to evoke those procedures is to ensure that you elect the appropriate people to fulfill these offices, and in fulfilling these offices, make the necessary appointments. We do not govern democratically in the United States. This is a republic. That was an anathema to the system of constitutional law that we have. But we do get to exercise the democratic process in selecting first representatives in the House, and now senators, and the board of electors, known as the Electoral College, democratically. And that's how it works. The United States is not modeled on the corporate model. Corporations are modeled on the U.S. model. The U.S. government came first before corporations were invented. So what happens is you have the stockholders. Those are the citizens who are enfranchised. The citizens elect a board of directors known as the Electoral College. The corporate shareholders elect the board of directors. The board of directors and the board of electors, they select the chief executive officer, who is known as the CEO now for a corporation, or the president. And the United States elects a president of the United States. And the president of the United States acts like the CEO does for a corporate entity. And we have Congress, which consists of two chambers, the House and the Senate, makes the laws. And we have a judiciary that interprets the laws and has the power to declare things that are come up with by either the actions of the executive or of the legislative branch unconstitutional or inappropriate. Most of the time that works out, but these so-called Title III courts, lesser courts that are not specified in the Constitution but enabled, vet cases that lead up to the circuit courts of appeal. We have several circuit courts, and the circuit courts vet cases to go up to the U.S. Supreme Court when there is a need for a decision that impacts the entire country, and the law is not clear or is ambiguous or has never before encountered such current factual circumstances. Now, I pass the mic.
Linda, I see your hand up. And anybody want to request to come up, please do so. Go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a follow-up on what the judge has said about the prison systems and the commodities there. Judge, if you could weigh in on the fact that I know in Michigan, third grade reading level is a contributor toward prison population and prison beds being projected in the future. And I know that the
something is going on.
pipeline.
Can you fix your audio a little bit?
I'm sorry. Is this better?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. The pipeline, the prison, school to prison pipeline is not being taken very seriously, in my opinion. But I do know that Michigan projects prison beds based on third grade reading levels, and we are near the bottom out of 50 states. I think we're 47 or 48 in the nation for poor education, and our trajectory, especially for Black children, is a pipeline to prison for education. Could you weigh in on the? I know that is that a conspiracy for the public education system being so poorly is contributing to that, or that is one of the major factors for people not even achieving anything, dropping out of school and getting in trouble? Could you weigh in on that?
Yeah, you don't have to conspire to do anything at all when you get the people to believe that they should be doing what you would otherwise conspire to have them do. You installed it in their culture. Now, Detroit used to be one of the major manufacturing centers in the whole world. It's not now. It's part of the Rust Belt. The bottom is falling out of where you are. You still have a huge population left over from 50 years ago when it once was a magnificent place. Well, 60 years ago, where it was once a magnificent place of manufacturing capacity and innovation. Now, you have too many people that are running things that are incompetent or unable to run it. You offer yourself up for a political office, but it's not glamorous to be an economist, a political scientist, or somebody that has an aptitude for governing people and managing affairs. You get people who are elected because of the cause or for the slogans that they spout. That is not good, and it is reminiscent of the National Socialist Workers' Party, also known as Nazi, Nazi, in the German acronym. So that's what we get. So we can start this on a level, and we have to by instead of glorifying our music, instead of when we want to do something and show we don't like something or approve of something, we do a line dance, which I called I can't get anybody to dance with me dance, and I'd otherwise be a wallflower, but I get out on a line and do that. We have the kitchen table, and there's no white supremacist, no evil power on the other side of that kitchen table. There is supposed to be mom and hopefully a dad or a big brother or a big sister teaching the junior grade in the family to sit there and develop the habit of studying, of doing homework, which improves the work ethic because that's outside of the business hours. You're still doing something about your business, in this case, the business of preparing yourself, and that is an important human attribute, whether you're preparing yourself by being able to read sign in the jungle if you're trying to hunt something or avoid being hunted by something, as it is to gather the fruits and berries, which we do now by shopping or by being an artisan and learning a skill or a trade, understanding that that fits into a situation and knowing that there are people who are smarter, stronger, more ingenious, and hardworking than you that you might want to support and follow, or becoming a leader yourself and taking on the alpha status. Now, we don't do that because we're stuck on stupid. We spend hour after hour in front of large screen TVs watching basketball, football, baseball, insane series productions for cable and broadcast television that insidiously put poison in our head as to what's appropriate, what's right, what's wrong. And I mean this, I'll say it again. Look up propaganda if you want to do something. As inadequate as Google is, it says a few things about it. Start taking those as leads so you can study how propaganda works. And also, the Black experience has a great deal of baggage because of propaganda. I did study the slave pamphlets more than 50 some years ago in DC when I was with a think tank. And one of the things they advocated was putting the elements of slavery in the culture of the slave. And even if they were freed from the condition of slavery, they would still make themselves safe slave like creatures because they would adopt the culture that we have put in with them. It's like chicken. You have to heat a chicken up to a certain temperature to cook it, but there are many ways of cooking a chicken. But they want you to think about the spice you would put on to season the chicken more than the chicken. And the question becomes, who is making the spice? Who's putting the spice in the spice bottles that you think you have to use? Little simple things like, since we're on food, chitlins. Oh, I loves me some chitlins. Chitlins, chitterlings are slave food. That was the leftover that the slave owners fed to the slaves because they knew they needed some protein. They didn't call it that then. So the slaves culturally have developed an appreciation of chitlins. So every time you see a Black person raving about they love chitlins, you see somebody subconsciously saying, I like this aspect of slavery. And that can be kind of obvious, but there are more subtle things in there too. So be careful what you think is appropriate because somebody else might have made that spice and put it in the bottle that you insist on seasoning your life with. It is a danger. Now, we have all sorts of insidious things that we adopt as firm beliefs that have absolutely no bearing on our well-being. So be careful what you think you believe in. Keep an open mind and always do a reasonable, logical, rational, analytical, detached, and objective assessment of what you think you ought to be doing before you do it, because you may be doing what it takes to keep you from ever being free. Now I'll pass the mic.
Duncan came up. Did you have your hand up, Joe? I don't really know, but
I did, but there's no way I can follow the chicken metaphor. It was genius.
okay. Go ahead, Duncan.
Yes, how everybody doing today?
Good. How are you?
Um, I'm doing fine. Um, just speak since we on food. Hey, why is it I never see a Native American restaurant? Is it like have you ever, like, I never like rode in a, like, I see plenty of Chinese restaurants, Italian restaurants, soul food restaurants. I never seen a Native American restaurant. Like, do they have
Yes,
a
they
food that
do.
they
Yes, they do.
oh, okay.
Travel through the Midwest and stop in at one of the designated reservations.
I'm a truck driver. That's why I'm speaking on
I know,
my
but you
experience.
have to
Yeah.
stop and you have to get beyond the store that sells all of the bric-a-brac, the leather jackets and the embroidered stuff and the
Mhm.
so-called imagery. When you get
I
around
get
there,
it.
you will see restaurants that the locals go to. Quite often, you will see them operated by Native American entrepreneurs. You have to
Is
experiment
it
with
pretty
it.
good?
It's good, but the thing of it is
Hmm.
that, see, the Native American tribes are many and sundry. They spread from coast to coast. They were here for a very long time before other settlers got here crossing the Atlantic. So
Hmm.
they have sort of embraced the general culture of food that we have. You have Mexican food. Mexican food is essentially Native American. It's just, it's the other part of North America rather than necessarily the United States. That is something that is compounded by a corn base. Corn is an American thing, and it has to do with spices, chilies, and stuff, which is an American thing. And you see it whenever you walk into a Mexican restaurant. That's also the native population of this continent. But it has been mixed in, just like tribal people have, with the later settlers.
So Mexican food not really influenced
Yeah,
by Spanish cuisine at all.
it has Spanish cuisine, but like, have you ever heard of an
Okay, okay.
Irish potato?
Yeah, I like to go to McAllister's. I do my favorite potatoes.
Yeah, but the potatoes aren't from Ireland. They're from they're from North America.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yep. Yep.
everybody likes yams. They're from Africa. Black pepper is from Africa. You have noodles. That's Chinese. We know that. But then you have spaghetti. That's also Chinese. So food is spread all over the world. And it no longer is a matter of it being identified with any locale, since we transplanted the seeds and they grow anywhere where the weather conditions permit. We have international foods. Corn used to be considered wheat. They applied the term to what the Indians developed through their own agricultural process. And we eat a lot of corn. We have corn chips, we have corn starch, we have corn syrup, we have corn on the cob, creamed corn. We use it for fillings for stuff, and that's Native Americans. So when you deal with a crop that came from America, that's one thing. We confuse it, just like the Irish potato famine. A lot of Irish coming over to America, but a lot of the Irish were mixed with the Moorish immigrants who left Spain at the end of the 15th century to escape persecution from not being devout Catholics. So you got all sorts of mix-ups in there, and then you have stuff that got brought over to Ireland in addition to the potato, which was subject to the potato famine. So tobacco is a Native American thing. We know that's bad for you now, but it used to be very profitable, and some folk insist on smoking the stuff.
What is them Ferrero burgers? What you ever heard of them Ferrero burgers?
Mm-hmm. I don't know what's in them. I didn't ask, but
Yeah, my uncle used to tell me about them Ferrero burgers.
yeah. So I mean, it's like you find, okay, you walk into a restaurant, let's say it's an Italian restaurant, you may see Mexicans working in there, Chinese working in there, black folk working in there, English working in there, Scotch and Irish working in there, and it's an Italian restaurant. You may see an Italian restaurant where most of the people that are in there are like that. Try Bamonte's, by the way, in Brooklyn. It's a very interesting restaurant. Look at the pictures on the wall and look at the people who are assembled on certain nights of the week.
I wanted to say something real quick because when you were talking, and you brought up chitlins and stuff like that, um, as aside from chitlins can be bad for your health, I'm not going to belittle that dish. And how Black people continue to eat chitlins after slavery because it was a staple of part. It's part of our culture. But I heard you mention before, Judge, that chitlins came from
England,
either in England. Yeah.
chitterlings.
So chitterlings. So it's so speaking of food and the evolution of food,
But
something that came from England, but so when we talk about chitlins here in America, the reason why Black people, particularly slaves, were eating the chitlins because that was the only thing that they were able to eat after the leftover of the pig, because the people in the big house ate everything on a pig, and the slaves were left with the scraps, which was the intestines of the chitlins. And of course, black people knowing how to cook, fixed it up, seasoned it to where
It's nasty for you, and it's an implement of
well,
slavery.
I
And
don't
when you
like it.
no,
I,
Well,
I
I
let me
don't.
don't.
let me
See,
let me let
I
me, let
don't.
me
see,
ask let
when
me
you
ask y'all a
accept
Wait
it.
question.
here.
See, hold on,
Wait,
hold on.
well,
Let
let
me
me
say this.
finish. Can I
Well,
finish
okay,
what
I
I
didn't
was
know you
saying?
weren't
Wait,
finished. Go ahead.
can I
Go
finish?
ahead.
Can I
Go
finish?
ahead.
Thank you. I never liked it because I don't like the smell or whatever. But I'm speaking to the um how it came about, to the culture of it. However, that people, there are some people that still enjoy chitlins, and that's
I know
them,
I
and that's
do.
fine. And we all don't like the same food, so just because you don't like it or I don't like it but somebody else like it doesn't mean that they're wrong for liking it. But the whole thing around chitlins, the dish and where it came from, it fed people from starving. So I'm not going to just look down on chitlins, but I would say that if you eat it on a holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving,
Oh, I'm
not
about to go sit in a minute.
weekly or everyday thing, because it is a health issue to a certain degree. So yeah.
But you see, part of the propaganda process is getting people to accept something a little at the time. A little at the time. The smaller the increment you can feed them, literally, the better, because they don't realize it. Chitterlings are an English dish, but they have the same horrid background in England that they had in America. When the Normans conquered England, William the Conqueror in 1066, he slaughtered a lot of Saxons in the English countryside, hundreds of thousands of them. He starved them to death, thought they were a nuisance, and wanted to get rid of them. The Saxons, remember Robin Hood and the Sheriff of Nottingham and King John and Richard the Lionheart, his older brother that had sense in some instances, versus King John, who was a bastard, not a bastard, but a real idiot, evil, vile, according to history. Well, that's where it came from. So what happens is about 400 years after that, about the same time it's been since the English started to colonize the Americas, you had the descendants of the Saxon slaves who were the balance of the immigrants from England who came over here. And their Norman lords, Sir Walter Raleigh, Sir Francis Drake, as in Raleigh, North Carolina, and so forth. They came over here and they ran stuff. They had the charters for the incorporation of these colonies. And we had the situation where they were allowed to set up plantations in Ireland and experiment on what they ultimately put on to the Africans. That Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh were famous for stealing from the Spanish, which is why the term Negro came up. They would steal these slave ships and they would pull into a Spanish port and bootleg the stolen property, human property, and they'd say, we have a load of Negroes, prime Negroes, intercepted, and we'll sell it for 1/3 of the asking price. And they made a lot of business. And in 1619, they brought a load over to Virginia. And they said, we have a prime load of Negroes that the Spanish acquired from Africa, and we intercepted them. They were pirates, but they had letters of marque from Queen Elizabeth, who was apparently screwing Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh at one point. And they said, we'll sell them dirt cheap. They'll probably be good for laboring in the fields. So that's how, for example, we got the term Negro. But when you eat chitlins and you have any favorable reaction to any small component of an instrumentality that oppresses you, you become receptive to a slightly bigger portion of that oppression. That is the secret of propaganda.
But
You have a
can I
long-term
ask a question
campaign,
though?
a
Can I
little
ask a
at the
question when
time.
y'all get
Yes,
it?
go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Now, like you said, I learned something tonight. I did not know the English used to eat chitlins. I don't know if they prepared it a different way or what, but I did not know they used to eat it. But my thing is, like, you also have it with sausage, right? The casing of the sausage is made out of the same pork intestine. Why is it when black Americans, American descendants of slavery, FBA, whatever name you want to choose, freedmen, whatever, when we choose to eat a certain type of food, we are degraded for doing it, right? But you can turn around and eat a pork sausage out of that same intestine. It's the same intestine, same pig intestine. It's not like the Jews cut it up and make it
No,
kosher pork. It's the same pork, right? The same
no,
intestine.
it's no. That's not what it's about. What it's
Mm.
about is there was a limited growing season. There was no refrigeration, no freezing. If you wanted to preserve something and you lived in a cold enough place, you buried it in the very cold ground and hoped the worms didn't eat too much of it, and you could pick them out or chomp down on the worms because some were tasty.
And
When you dug
I
enough to eat it,
understand that, Judge. But your argument
that
that
was
you
just
made,
no, no,
your
no,
debate that you
no,
made,
no, no. There
if you
is a
allow me, if you
difference.
allow me.
There's a, I know, but there's a difference. I'm getting to your point directly.
Mm.
There's a difference between absolute necessity and doing something by choice. We
Indeed, and
still,
I'm not debating you on that. But what I want to say is that we have refrigerators now, right? Just like you said
mm-hmm,
that we don't have to eat chitlins no more because we're not slaves no more. You don't have to eat
mm-hmm.
pork sausages no more because we have refrigerators now.
Okay.
To excuse it and say, well, it started because they didn't have refrigerators. Well, it started because we were slaves. But
Yeah, well, that's true. You shouldn't eat some of the stuff that has a high percentage of sodium or
yes,
Well,
sir.
how
potassium
about
in it to
this? But
preserve it.
how about people stop telling people what they should and should not eat? Now,
Well,
if again, if your perception of chitlins is something of oppression, if that reminds you of black people being repressed or repressive food, then of course you're not going to eat it. Don't eat it. But some people eat it not because they have an oppressed mentality. That is because it is part of the culture. I know plenty of people who are upper middle class, who have a whole lot of money, black people, and they do eat a dish of chitlins on Thanksgiving or Christmas or a special occasion,
sure.
whether it's to pay homage
Those upper
or
class
whether it's
people can
because
still
they
have
enjoy
slave
it.
mentality.
It's
Can you
sure.
stay muted for a second, Brooklyn? Just raise your hand. I'm gonna get to the hands, but let me go
They
to
probably eat jerk
Bishop. Then
chicken.
I'm
Could I say this
New
very
York eat
quickly?
jerk
The
chicken.
point is to make it, you just said it, Dana. The point is to make these habits of slavery part of the culture. So without realizing it, the slave or the slave's descendants subtly infuse characteristics and
no.
portions and
That's why I
principles
disagree
of the
with you there,
culture.
and
And well, of course you do, but you
that's where
didn't
I
study
disagree
it.
with you at. And
You
here's
didn't.
why.
Look,
Here's
look,
why.
I
Because there were a
studied,
lot of
look,
foods. There
I,
were no. Let me say this. There were a lot of foods that the enslaved Black Americans made that is still cooked and eaten today. So again, any group of people, no matter what class, it's the same thing. So if you're in India and they have the caste system, you going back centuries, did the elite and the wealthy ate different from someone who was
of
poor? But a
course
lot of
they
times
did.
if you have scraps and you're able to turn scraps into a delicious meal that's going to fill you up, then you're not going to just get rid of that. It's nothing wrong with passing that down. That doesn't mean you're passing down a mentality. Now, as a health standpoint of it, you know what I'm saying? Anybody eating too much pork, depending on how you make it, is not good. How you make it. However, that's with any and everyone. That's just not owned on Black Americans. So again, that is your opinion with this thing with
Okay,
chitlins, and I get what you're saying,
but you don't
but
get it.
there's another side to it.
There
That's what
is
I'm
no
saying.
other side to it. I
Yeah,
got this.
there is.
This
There
isn't
is.
even
You have your
original.
side.
Look,
I
look.
have mine.
This isn't even original to me. I got it almost 60 years ago from a visiting professor who once used to run propaganda for the Soviet Union's
Yeah. So what about
KG.
pig feet? What about
Listen,
pig feet?
listen. This
I don't, because
person,
I really don't
excuse
want
me,
another
just listen.
dissertation
It's
because
not
that's your
a. It's not a
opinion.
dissertation.
Yeah, because that's your
I hear
opinion
what you're
on the
saying.
evolution
I
of
hear
Black
what you're
American food.
saying. But this person that I got this from ran the propaganda section for the Soviet Union's
So what
KGB
about
at one
pig
time.
feet?
This is what was being
What
instructed.
about
The
pig
same
feet?
thing. In
Okay,
other
but pig
words,
feet is
just
eaten
listen.
by
You're
white people.
interrupting
So
me.
are you
Stop. You
telling me
didn't
no?
get
Because
this
I'm trying to just
instruction.
quickly move on to
This
the
is a
next person.
person
Are
that,
you telling
look,
me a white person that eat pig feet has a slave mentality?
that's part of the process because they
No, it's
are
not.
part
That's
of the
your opinion.
proletariat.
That's
Now,
not a
I know
fact.
it's mine, but I'm talking about somebody that did this for the Soviet
I
Union
don't care
who
about the
was in
Soviet.
charge of it.
That has
Now,
nothing
don't
to
you
do
think
with
that it
soul
would
food.
behoove? It does. Now,
No, it
don't
does
you
not.
think it would
A
behoove you to?
Soviet, a Russian
Do
person
you
did not
not?
propagandize
The
Black Americans to
person
create soul food.
was in 1967, the person was targeting the United States of America for
Soul food
propaganda
already existed.
purposes. I understand. She brought it out as an exemplar of propaganda, in this case used by the slave masters,
That has nothing to do with
used
chitlins.
previously by the
That has
Norman
nothing to do with
overlords.
chitlins.
Excuse me, it did.
So then,
News.
okay, so wait a
This
minute.
was used by
So what
Norman
other
overlords
propaganda
against the
format did she
Saxons,
use
used
on
against
white
the
people?
Negroes. Now, all
So
poor
what,
whites
wait,
too.
so what propaganda did she use on white
It
people?
was, she, you're not getting it. Never mind.
No, I want you to answer my question. So
I
you mean to
did.
tell me that
I did.
this Russian agent only focused on Black Americans with propaganda?
No, she focused on the whole world. She was in charge
Okay,
at
then.
one
So
time.
then tell me what foods did she focus on when it comes to
She
white people with
used it.
propaganda?
It didn't work that way because
All
the
right, so then
problem
let me
was,
go to the
no,
next speaker
listen,
then, because I
listen,
don't want us to have like a
white
complete back
people,
and forth because there's other
listen,
people waiting.
when she talked about white people, she was talking about keeping the white people in the mindset of the underclass while their overlords, who didn't have sir and your ladyship as part of their titles, Duke, Baron, Earl.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, of course it doesn't to you
No, it
because you
doesn't,
don't know
because
these
a
things. So I don't.
Russian
Look.
agent,
I
a
can't give
Russian
you.
agent did not
I can. It's not an
propagandize
agent.
soul food.
It's
So
not. Look.
I
Look. You
definitely,
don't
I
get
would
it.
never agree
You
with
don't
that.
get it.
I
But
don't
you
accept it,
illustrate.
but you are entitled to
You
your
illustrate.
perspective.
Of course you are. You're entitled to do it. But the point is to get the person to voluntarily make the wrong choices. That's
White
part of what you
people,
do with
especially
propaganda.
in the South,
There
they
is
eat the
not any.
whole pig
Look.
inside and out.
Look.
There are white people that eat chitlins.
I understand, but
So
in
don't throw that
1967,
on Black Americans as
oh,
y'all still eating oppressed
if
food.
you
That is
don't,
your
if
opinion.
you don't get it, you don't get it,
I
and
do get it.
you
And what I'm saying
illustrate
is
the
I get what
propaganda.
you're saying.
You
I get
illustrate the
what you're saying.
propaganda. No,
But
you
what you're
don't.
saying is not based
No,
in
you
complete
don't.
fact. It is your
Because part of the
perspective. That
propaganda
is your
process,
ideology. That is
part of the
your
propaganda,
opinion.
it's not my ideology, it is my
It
opinion. It's
is.
subject to modification. But the point is to get the target of your propaganda to defend the aspects of his being
But
propagandized.
we don't need a Russian person to defend
Why the
what we've
hell if
been
the
making
Russian
for
person can
centuries.
see
No,
it?
it don't work like
Look,
that. All right, let me
knowledge
go to
has no
Bishop. Let
face,
me
but
let me go to
knowledge
Bishop
itself.
Judge.
Truth
Let's just go
doesn't
to the
either.
hands.
I know,
Let me
but
go to
you
Bishop,
got the
and then
point.
I need to go back to
You
Joe.
don't get the point, but I put
Go
the
ahead,
information
Bishop.
out there.
No,
Some
I
will.
get the point. I
No,
just
you
don't
don't.
accept it. Yes,
Well,
I do.
that's the
Can you
point.
guys
You
hear
won't
me?
But
accept it.
my point is
Go ahead.
different,
Go ahead.
and
Can
that's
you guys
it.
hear me?
Go ahead. I
Go
hear
ahead,
you.
Bishop.
And can you all hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dana. I just happened to, get into this space because I saw that you were here, Judge. And I'm going to make my comments very short, and I'm going to make them to the point. The conversations that I've been hearing Judge, I've been following you for a long time, and I've been a bishop for over 30 years. And I am Black. And I listen to the conversations of Black folks. And Judge, you're absolutely right. Black people do not understand the history of the United States, and they don't understand our history. Now, I'm not trying to be insulting to anybody. So if anybody's offended, I'm sorry, but I want to make this point. Everything that we argue about is stupid and insignificant, because everybody is fighting and arguing about where we came from. Okay, we've been talking about that for so many years, and we still are arguing about the same stupid things. Our history is with everybody else's history in this world. The battles that we fight are not secular battles. The battles that we fight are spiritual. And people do not understand that in this world and the way things are going are governed by the Bible. Judge, you have an excellent historical knowledge. I learned from you. I'm a historian myself. When you started talking about Sir Walter Riley, I started laughing because I know nobody here probably knew who he was. A lot of our history, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand something. Just like the judge has been saying, we have been driven just like sheep, as the Bible says. We have been driven, and propaganda has been put out here for us to be driven in the way that Satan wants us to be driven. Separation, racism, all of this stuff is insignificant. Just like us going out and having to work 90 hours a week to try to pay our bills, try to have something in our world, try to feed our kids and everything else. Not realizing that over these years we have been lied to. If anybody's seen the movie The Matrix, it's a perfect example. The history that we know is not complete, it's not accurate, and a lot of times it's not real. Case in point, we didn't go to the moon. Case in point, Roe versus Wade was a hoax. People don't understand that we have been set up to argue over stupid stuff that is insignificant to our future. Now, by the word of God, our future is eternity. You have two choices. You either go to heaven or you go to hell. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Satan infiltrated the church, and people who had a strong spiritual knowledge and had coverage by the Holy Spirit back in the old days, Big Mom and them. Big Mom and them had more common sense up under their nail, their small nail, than we have at all today. They understood, even though they were mostly illiterate, but they had common sense. We do not use common sense today. And what Black people do not realize is that we're still being used today to push a narrative that pits us against each other and against others. And we still don't recognize that. Who cares about chitlins? Who cares about where that came from? How the heck is that going to help you to become a better person in the future? Why do we keep arguing about stupid topics like that?
All right, hold on for a second. I don't mean to cut you off because I usually don't cut people off, Bishop, but I'm trying to figure out where you going with this, because I don't know if you just came into the room, and maybe you did, maybe you did not. But if you did not, the conversation wasn't about chitlins. And the back and forth me and the judge was having is what it was, a back and forth discussion. It's the difference between a discussion and people arguing because they're just not getting along. We don't need a lecture. And one thing I don't do, I don't appreciate people come up here lecturing what people need to do or not to do. And then now you narrow it down to Black Americans. Well, they're not just Black people in this space. There's not just Black people I may go back and forth with, or someone may go back and forth. It's not just Black people that get caught up in propaganda. All of America and just about all the world is getting caught up in propaganda. So whatever discussion me and the judge was having, whether you think it was, immature or what have you, that's your opinion. That's what I'm getting at. So I don't need, no one doesn't need to be lectured about what really we should or should not be talking about. So you must did not know how the conversation even evolved. So that was something
You're
that me and
absolutely
him was
right.
having, whether it was a disagreement, two different perspectives, and that's what my space is about.
I understand that. And I did come in just before I heard that. So, yes, you're absolutely
What
right
is
about
your
that.
Bishop,
I'm,
may
I'm
I interject
Wait,
this? I
let me just ask
appreciate
one
certainly,
what
more
I
question. You
appreciate what
certainly,
you
sound
said.
familiar, and I want to make sure that you're do we don't know each other in real life, do we, Bishop?
no, we do not. I don't
Okay,
know.
because you
I don't
sound
know
like somebody
your
I know,
name.
so I want to make sure. I'm like, is this my friend or whatever? But no.
No,
And also, you also said that um, something about heaven and hell, that we only go into two places. But how do you know there's a heaven and a hell?
that is, that's going to be another, that would be a teaching. And as you said, that's something that you're not discussing here. But to answer your question, uh, the way that I know that you're going to heaven or hell is by the word of God. That's the bottom line. And one of the reasons why, and since you mentioned that we have more than Black people here, I wasn't aware of that. So let me make this the way it should be. The word of God says that there's only two places to go. That's that's the answer to your question. And the reason why people are having a problem dealing with things today is because they do not know the word of God. Why do they not know the word of God? Well, we've had a lot of clergy in the pulpits that have been false teachers. They've been bought out to preach a particular message, or they were enticed by Satan himself in the church. You know, if you've been to church,
Yeah, you're
when
one of them.
Yeah,
I'm
Why
please
would
sorry,
do.
you do that?
Everybody, please stay on your mic. Let him finish.
that's your opinion, okay? But I've been doing this for a long time. And what I'm saying is this: we need to focus more on God and ourselves.
But
Because
what if somebody is a
what happens
Buddhist?
if somebody's a Buddhist? That's their choice. See, we have to make choices in this world, and our choices determine how our future comes out. But when you make choices, you want to be able to make informed decisions. Informed decisions is based on knowledge and understanding and research and experience. So if we do these things, and yes, I'm a non-denominational pastor, okay? I'm not Baptist, even though I was brought up Baptist. I had found that denominations are nothing but separation in the church. And so this creates exactly what the evil here in this world wants us to do, is to stay separated. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to stop. All I can say is this: Judge, I respect you. There's some things that you say that I don't agree with, but that's the way we're supposed to be in life. We should be able to have discussions without arguing with each other. Sometimes there may be arguments, but at the end of the day, we should be able to say, okay, I understand where you're coming from and you understand where I'm coming from. But if we continue to focus on things that are not going to enrich us and enrich our futures, then we're going to continue being driven down the road the way that people that control the government or control us in any ways, they drive us. Because if they're in our head and they can tell you which way you should go without you making an informed choice, then there's always going to be problems like this. And that's all I'll have to say, Judge. I'll pass it on to you.
Well, sir, I appreciate what you said. You taught me a couple of things there. So I'm going to put those in the repository and bring them back up as references in the future. And by the way, the remarks I was making aren't directed toward black people per se, but toward oppressed people in general and methodologies to keep them oppressed and subject to the dictates of those who are a managing elite. Now, with that
All right.
clarification, I pass the mic again. Thank you,
I,
Bishop. Appreciate it.
I want to go to Joe and then Brooklyn, Sway Me, then back to Wayne. And if you guys want to request to come up, please do so. We're having it's I want to say quote unquote slow night, but I won't say slow, but it's a nice mellow. So which means that we'll be wrapping it up by midnight. So if you got to say something, say it now because people like to come up the last 10 minutes and I'm not doing all that. But go ahead, Joe.
Thank you, and I don't mean to disappoint, but I've got nothing for your salvation of your soul. So I'll talk about chitlins. Our friend Duncan, he brought up an interesting one. He says that an expensive sausage will have an intestine casing on it. But I would challenge you, my friend Duncan, if you and I went to a restaurant, and oddly enough, both of us ordered sausage, and they bring mine out with two nice sausages on a plate, and they bring you out two empty casings, you're going to feel like you got the short end of the stick on that. And I kind of see what the judge is saying. I haven't studied it, obviously, but the term "high on the hog" means that you're doing pretty good in life if you're eating the meat that's higher on the hog, and you're not doing so good in life the lower you have to go. And I think the intestines are pretty low on that list. So I kind of get that with the chitlins. But Duncan, would you be okay if we went to a restaurant and I got full-fledged sausage and you just got a couple of casings on the plate? Would you say, yeah, they're the same?
That was for you, Duncan. He's actually Duncan. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm at the grocery store, but
Oh.
to answer that, that's not even a fair question because we've been to hook them up and turned them into chitlins, and so I'd rather have them chitlins rather than the sausage. But that's just me. That's my palate. You know what I'm saying?
And I appreciate you saying that keyword palate. And you're right. The chitlins do. I mean, chitlins sausages has that casing, which is it's pork, but it does have that casing. Just about all.
Yep.
Now you could kind of take it off per se, but it's still pork. Kings and queens throughout centuries have eaten the pig, the whole pig. Now, yes, the chitlins were left scraps for the slaves, particularly here in America, and black people turned into a delicatessen and made it taste good for those who enjoy it.
I'm
And
buying me
when
some
people
swine right
today
now.
but when people today eat that dish, they're not eating it because I'm oppressed. Part of it, they like it, and it's part of their family, you know, food growing up. But also, people do pay homage. That is a way of paying homage. When you talk about, let's just go to the continent of Africa, jollof rice. It came from a tribe in Senegal, the Jollof tribe. And that's where the rice came from. But then you have Nigeria, you have Ghana, you have others. So, again, food, and we could have a whole separate space like food, a lot of conversations, a lot of things could come out of just talking about food and, the evolution of foods and stuff like that. So I'm just saying that a lot of times, a lot of people are not doing things because they are oppressed. Some, yes, some things, yeah, and we kind of could see a lot of that. But when it comes to soul food, particularly, that's that's something sacred for Black Americans. Just like Italian food and the way women made spaghetti from scratch,
And
rolling it
Dana,
up and
and
everything like
Dana,
that.
Dana,
So
Dana, I just want to say, sometimes it's good to have light conversations about food. Everything don't have to be heavy, like talking about God and religion. To me, when you talking about, food, that's a light-hearted conversation. We might get passionate about it, but because we have passion, that doesn't mean that we're arguing. It just doesn't mean that we
exactly.
feel strongly about what we're saying, but it's not an argument. But
Right.
that's all.
I wasn't arguing with you, Judge,
No,
but
I
it's the
didn't
fact
think so.
that I'm just
I didn't
saying
think
that
so.
we have me and him have a difference of opinions.
If I might interject something here, which is very important, what do you mean soul food? Since when I got to the South 55 years ago, the white folk ate the same thing. You went into a white restaurant,
We
they
cooked
fixed
in
the
their
same
kitchen.
thing.
We cooked in their kitchen,
Well,
Judge.
that too. So it's ubiquitous because the Southern white guy was not a Norman descendant, not part of the English aristocracy. He was a Saxon descendant, part of the underclass. So he too ate low on the hog. And what we call soul food is a black something. We got instructed in how to cook that for the slave masters because the slave masters ate it.
No, the slave
Yeah,
Come
they
on
masters
now.
did.
did not teach black people how to
They,
cook.
excuse
However,
me,
they did,
excuse
but
me, excuse me.
white
I
people
have
eat
no,
soul
hold
food.
on, hold on, hold on. You ever heard of a recipe? Recipes are in cookbooks. I have looked at cookbooks from the 16th century that were over here where they detailed this type of food for white folk. We didn't
They
have
don't
that
really eat
here.
okra like that though, Judge.
I
I
know
feel
they
I
eat
get what you're saying. I
you
get
look. Have you ever heard of a field pudding?
no sir, no sir, I haven't.
It's a watermelon. That's what white folk call watermelon in Alabama, and so do black
Okay.
folk.
Okay.
Field pudding.
But no, what I was saying, I'm agreeing with you, Judge. I'm just saying that instead of you saying like they taught us how to cook, not because that's not true. You
Oh, it
looking at
is
different.
true.
But hold on, let me just say this.
No, it's not true.
You
It's
bring
not
a
a
No, it's not.
slave over
it's
No,
who's
it's
not
not.
it's not a
brought
judge.
in, and you
It's
No,
not
put
an
it's
him back
not.
in
argument,
the
Judge.
kitchen. You don't turn him loose
Let's
It's not.
just
and cook something
hold
That's
the
what I'm
that's
saying.
strange
conversation.
to
Me
you.
and Duncan don't agree with you,
No, I
but
definitely
I
can
don't.
tell
know
you for
that,
a
but you don't have
fact
the
that is not
information
true.
source. I do.
But
And
let me say this.
So okay,
your
I'm
all right,
sources.
saying different cultures
passenger.
came together. Different cultures came together and they
Yeah.
did share ideas. That's why like you see a lot of spaghetti. A lot of spaghetti is served in soul food restaurants today. But spaghetti is Italian.
No,
The
it's not
spaghetti. No,
Italian.
I know you say the noodles
It's
are Asian.
Chinese.
My
Yeah,
the
it's
noodles
Chinese.
the noodles
But
are
the dish is Italian.
the dish is Italian.
Spaghetti is a pasta, and pasta is Chinese. Marco Polo brought it back
But you
from
missing the
Asia.
forest through the trees though, Judge.
I'm
All
Yeah,
I'm
not
like you
trying.
missing the
just
forest for the
honestly, Judge,
trees.
at this point, you just
I'm
making
talking
up stuff
about,
just to
I'm
prove
not
your
making
point.
up
And I'm
stuff.
like,
I'm
listen,
not
like
making up
it's
stuff.
that's you're stating your own opinions
The
here.
point is through human intercourse, all through the ages, what we eat has become very mixed up
So why are you saying
amongst
that white
cultures.
people taught black people how to cook?
Because if you buy somebody as a servant and you put them to work in your kitchen, you don't necessarily want them cooking up from you from something you've never eaten in your whole life.
But
I
that's
got
what black
So
I
people
got
at
an
the
you
example. I
time.
got an
teach
example. Hold
And
them
on.
wait
how
I
one
to
got
second,
an
cook.
Duncan. Wait,
okay,
Duncan.
okay.
One
It
second. I'm
universal,
gonna
it
let you do that.
doesn't make
You
any
know what, Duncan? Give
difference.
your example,
But
and
it
then I need to
doesn't
go to
make any
Brooklyn.
Okay,
Let
difference.
me, because I'm gonna
okay,
I'm
let
gonna
me just
start
give
You
this
talking
know what my
less.
example
real
real quick.
point
Go
is
ahead.
here? You
Let
know what
Duncan
my
give
real
his
point
example,
is here?
Judge, and then I want to go to
Okay,
Brooklyn because
go
people
go
have
ahead.
their hands
Okay.
up.
All I'm gonna
Go
say
ahead,
is
make your
look,
point.
this right here gonna crush everything. This the final nail right here. You know how I can tell that we are the chefs of the United States? Because guess what? When you look at the food that they be talking about, what you got? Aunt Jemima syrup, you got Uncle Ben's rice. They put us on their food like them not black owned companies. But they are giving honor to the black people that gave the cuisine to America when they put Uncle Ben on the rice box or when they put Aunt Jemima on the syrup. We used to get offended by that. I don't think we should be offended by it because to me, the way I see it today, they're giving honor to black Americans for the for giving us credit for American cuisine. And that's all I have to say. I'm gonna mute up and I'm gonna
Well,
drop
Aunt
down. Y'all,
Jemima isn't on the syrup; she's on the pancakes, and she's
yeah,
the
you know what
actual.
I'm saying. The syrup too though.
But see, hold on, she's the actual inventor of the American process of having pre-prepared food that all you needed to do was add a few ingredients to, and you could cook. The woke folk got mad with her being on the box of pancakes and cut her family descendants out of millions of dollars of royalty by doing it, but she invented the process. But here's what I'm saying: the food issues are small, they're just reflective of small things. As I said before, the propaganda methodology is to get into somebody's head by increments, because you can't just lay a big thing on somebody and expect them to go for it. You do a little bit at the time. And the point was is that as far as oppressed people were concerned, whatever their ethnicity, one of the ways you can get into their heads is a little bit at the time and get them to glorify small but significant things that look like they have absolutely nothing to do with nothing, except to set the stage for them accepting something more damaging to them. That's it. So
All
you
right,
can
I want to go to
accept that or
Brooklyn.
not, but that's how it works.
I'm gonna swim. I'm gonna go to Brooklyn. B Wayne, sway me.
Hey, just real quick. No black person should ever be defending chitlins or standing up on behalf of chitlins. That is absolutely slave food. We were never supposed to eat that. We're supposed to be better than that. We're not supposed to eat any part of the pig. The white man gave that to us in slavery. We wouldn't be eating any of that if we weren't brought over here on slave ships. And he'll eat the better parts of it because he'll eat anything that he can catch and call it a delicacy, because he's a nasty person. We're supposed to be above that and better than that. We got to put away slave food. We got to put away filthy animals like the pig, and we got to look at it for what it is. Let go of tradition, let go of all that nonsense, because our traditions, unfortunately, mostly are connected to slavery. And so that's a mindset we got to break from. It's not just a dish, it's not just a taste, it's not just a palate. It's a mindset that you're accepting something that's been passed down that was only ever in your culture because of slavery.
I'm
Well,
not
that
giving
was
up the
my
pig,
point.
Brooklyn.
That
Brooklyn, I'm not giving up. Hold on for a second, Judge. You that sound good. I ain't
well,
giving up my pork bacon, honey.
but hold
Nor
on.
my
Give it up.
maple,
That beef
nor
bacon is
my
better.
maple,
You
nor my maple
Beef isn't good
sausage,
for you either.
you make a
nor my
point.
That's
maple
not
sausage.
good
Because
for you either.
I love pork bacon and pork sausage on a Sunday morning. I'm not giving up the
You
pig.
make a
The beef
point,
bacon and
sir.
beef sausage is better.
You
That
make
let go of
No,
that
it's
filthy animal.
actually
It's a
beef
bottom
is
you
actually
feeder.
make
more
It's
higher
it's not
sodium.
it's not designed for you to eat. It's designed to
Yes,
be
it is
nature's
designed for
garbage
me to eat.
disposal.
It's an
It's
animal.
it's 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 the garbage disposal of the animal
It's an
kingdom.
animal.
It's not
you
designed for you to eat. It's not a
Yes, it
clean animal.
is.
It's a filthy animal.
All
well.
animals are filthy. So is chicken.
No,
Are
all animals are not
You're
filthy.
not supposed to be
Cows
eating
sit in
any.
the field and
That's
eat
what
grass
it's
all
okay.
day.
Animals. Wait. What makes animals filthy?
What makes the pig filthy is what it eats and how it digests it and how its digestive system works and what
What
goes
does a
into its
pig
body.
eat that chickens don't eat?
Anything, anything and everything.
That's what chickens eat. You know what? And it's like you have to say, okay, what are you feeding this? If you have a farm, what are you feeding your animals? Is your pigs touching the ground, the mud, or do you have them on wood and boards? Because that makes a difference. It's how you prepare the meat.
Okay, but biblically speaking, it talks about the digestive system of these animals, and the pig has a digestive system that does not process or cleanse whatever it eats. So that's why we're not
But
supposed to
chicken
deal with
does
that.
and beef does.
Yes, they
No,
do.
that's not true.
Yes,
And
they
Well,
do.
I'm
In the
sorry,
scriptures, it's
I
called
don't
chewing
believe
the
the
cud.
Bible when
If
it's
you look up
if
what
the
chewing
Bible
the
if
cud
that
is,
says that in the Bible, I don't believe it.
let
it
me offer
absolutely does.
something else that you might want to consider. You said something, sir,
Can
that
I
is
can I speak
important.
on that real quick? Can
Okay,
I speak on that real
go
quick?
ahead.
Well, hold
Dana?
on. Let the judge say what he was going to say.
Okay, you make a point. You say it's part of the culture. That's what I was talking about. To enslave a slave and the slave descendants, make the elements of slavery part of the culture. Now, anthropologists study these things. They dig up bones and remains and coprolites, which are fossilized poop, okay? And they can analyze what people ate and other things. Now, over the last 150, 200 years, that active cannibals have been contacted all over the world. They have a universal term to refer to people meat. They call it long pig because it tastes just like pork to them. Now, anthropologists, in analyzing the ancient records, suggest that the sanction against pork has nothing to do with its quality as food. It's got to do with the fact that it was a substitute for cannibalism because it tasted like people. And they dig up sites now they can find from satellite imagery in what is now the Sahara Desert. And when they go back far enough, they found there was a lot of ritual cannibalism. Then they seem to have switched over, so they substituted pig for the human flesh. So what you wind up with is a sanction that most of the monotheistic religions have, not so much against pig as food as it is a stand-in for cannibalism. Though Christianity has that, what is it, eat the body of Christ, drink the blood of Christ thing with the communion, which, by the way, was one of the reasons the Romans opposed it in the initial exposure. But that's another thing. There are all kinds of reasons. And over the
Yeah, that's
years,
kind of a far fetched theory, but
well, it's
in
not a
in the
far-fetched
Bible,
theory.
it,
You forget the Bible right now. This
but that's the
antedates
point because it
this
tells you
pre
why we're
this.
not supposed to eat the pig.
Yeah, I know
It
it.
doesn't
I
just
know.
say
I
don't eat
know.
it. It
But it.
tells exactly
I
why.
know. But it predates the Bible. And the other thing is that, frankly, biologically, health-wise, it is 10 times more dangerous to eat pork in northwestern Europe than it is in the Middle East because the climate in the Middle East is not conducive to trichinosis, but it's very conducive to it in northwest Europe. So it's just one of those things. It doesn't make any difference because it's a belief system thing, and pigs
Well,
can be
good.
nice
Maybe if
guys.
enough white people in Northwest Europe eat it, it'll start a plague amongst them.
Well, they ate it. It was one of their favorite foods. So, I mean,
All right. Let me
that
go to
Well,
B
hang
it
on.
is
Wayne.
what it is.
What I learned is that people taste like bacon.
People
Yeah,
taste like bacon. I don't know. Let,
that's it exactly. They call people meat
I'm not
long
eating a
pig.
person
That's
to find that out, so I
I
wouldn't know.
know you're not,
But let
but
me go to
some
B
people have
Wayne.
eaten
I want
been
I want to go to B
cannibal have
Wayne. Then I want
said
to go
that.
to Sway Me.
Thank you, Dana. He Judge is actually right that they do call humans long pig. And also beef bacon is better. But back to the question of Native American food.
Says you B Wayne.
No, it's
Beef
historical
bacon
fact.
is tastes like a little
Oh,
rubber and it's high in sodium. I pick my pork bacon over the beef any day.
I
Okay,
like
all right, we got
bacon,
that.
and
Now, what
but
what do you have to say? Go ahead.
yeah, no, Judge is absolutely right about the ingredients coming from everywhere. Everything that we eat is derivative of something else, and it's all kind of a conglomeration. Like all hot chili peppers come from South America, so like Asian, Indian food that we think of today is not what they would have eaten before. Black pepper from India, um, potatoes from Peru, tomatoes, on and on and on. So everything is just derivative of everything else. Uh, but back to, I think it was Duncan who was the trucker who was asking about Native American food. Man, if you're driving through the Southwest, look for Navajo tacos. The little hole in the wall places are the best. Uh, Navajo tacos are delicious.
Where
You should try
they
to
at?
find
Where,
some.
where you can find them restaurants? Like what state? What state?
I always found them in Arizona. I think they're in New Mexico as well, though. But
Okay,
Navajo
okay.
tacos are like kind of like a savory elephant ear. They're deep fried flatbread, and then they build the taco on top of it. And so I can't speak to whether it's authentic to what they would have eaten before. I'd imagine not, but it is heavenly. If you ever get a chance to try some, highly recommend.
Yeah, I definitely try it.
All right. I want to go to Sway Me. Let me just say this one last thing. That yeah, if black pepper stems from this country, noodles stem from that country, it's called trade. So noodles in China, they don't have spaghetti. They do something else with their noodles. But when the Arabs brought noodles into Sicily, to be exact, then the Italians, they used tomatoes, they used spaghetti, they started to make their own spaghetti and they created their own dish. So yes, foods and different ingredients are grown in different parts of the world, but how it gets from one place to another is via trade. But to make a certain dish is what that particular group in that particular country chooses to make with those ingredients. And they're going to take the ingredients that is grown from their country as well. So spaghetti was created by the Italians because yes, noodles may have come from China, but that's something that is, it wasn't just solely China, because the Italian women in Italy will make their own pasta with their own ingredients. So again, this whole concept of, well, spaghetti came from China. No, it didn't. Spaghetti came from Italy. Now you may have traded some noodles into Italy, and they made a spaghetti dish, whatever the case may be. But a lot that is how we get different DNAs when a person said, "Well, I got 10% that, 10% this," because people move around. So go ahead, sway me.
Well, may I make one real quick comment? Spaghetti isn't
Not
the
really.
only
I kind of just
Italian
want Sway me to
pasta.
go because you just want to push
No,
back
no, no,
every
no, no,
little
no,
thing
no.
just to make a point.
Just stop interrupting.
I'm not interrupting you.
You
I was
are.
actually
You
going to
cut
Sway
me
me. It
off.
was her
You
turn to
cut me
speak. You
off. I know.
interrupted.
I'm just doing it parliamentary wise, point of fact. Now, here, spaghetti
No,
is
it's
one
not a
of the many
fact.
pastas that they serve in Italy. There's also rotini, fettuccine, uh, the stuff they make lasagna with, those big noodles. So it's a form of pasta. That's the point. It's not the specific manifestation. Goes back to my chicken analogy and what you're spicing it with. Now, I pass. Just to clarify what we're
No,
talking
you
about
didn't
here.
clarify anything.
Well, not to you, but
You're
I did
trying
to
to
some other
prove
people.
your
I'm
point,
not
which is
proving.
not based in
That's if
fact.
irrespective.
And you're
Some
trying
people,
you're trying to convince me
irres,
what you're saying is a fact, and I'm telling you it's
irrespective,
not.
you're not the only one listening in
I
there.
don't
Quite a
care.
few
I'm
other
telling you what
people,
you're saying when
for
it
their
comes to
benefit.
spaghetti is
Now,
not a fact.
never mind, never mind.
Hey, what about tea? If you think of afternoon tea, you think British, right? But in reality, uh, Britain became the power that it was because it was able to bring these things, the pasta recipe from the Middle East, tea, sugar, tobacco from the New World, rum, and all these other things. It was because all that was a hub back at Britain. But yet we
No,
think of, when you
I gotta
think of
push back
afternoon
with
tea,
you.
you think,
I gotta
but
push
when you
back
think of
there.
afternoon tea, you think of British, but there was no tea grown in Britain. It was all grown in India
And then China.
and
And
in
so
China.
what? So I said. So what? But 1 second, Swamy. I'm about to come to you. So when I said a lot of these different ingredients and things of food is via trade, and then sometimes it wasn't trade. It was whoever came into the country and conquered it, and they took that back or whatever. But it's trade. When you travel from one place to another, and you come across something like tea, and you trade it with one country from another, but people also got to remember when we talk about history, when you talk about the Arabs and the Moors and northern Africa and people coming in from the Middle East, they did go up into Sicily. At one point, they were controlling it. From what we know, what we see of Sicily, well, the location of Sicily today, that was in control of Arabs and Africans, but they traveled to other places, traded probably with someone from China or what have you, or maybe they bought whatever ingredients to make pasta into Sicily. So again, we also have to take into account what was going on in that time in that particular part of the world. So it's not like, okay, I'm Middle Eastern and I traveled to China and I'm just gonna travel to Sicily and say, here, I brought back these noodles. No, these were people that were conquering a lot of these places. So people want to just sum it up. Well, it came from China, so technically spaghetti is a Chinese dish, and it's not. But go ahead, Swamy.
But isn't that what the judge was saying? He used the term, and I've never heard it before, but I like it. The intercourse of people is how this all came about. How we have spaghetti the noodle idea originated in Asia, and Marco Polo
Spaghetti
I
did
think
not
brought that
originate
back.
in Asia.
Oh,
The
it
idea of
did,
making
Dana.
pasta,
No,
the
it
idea
did
of making
not.
It
pasta did.
did.
The Chinese did
Cars
not. They
originated
didn't
in
make a
some
spaghetti
place, but
dish.
you can
They
get a
used noodles
Ferrari.
for something else,
You
and
can
it's
get a
not
look,
based
look.
in a fact that it
Well, hang on.
actually.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
They're
One is
saying that
rice
that's
Difference.
noodles.
technically somewhat of a myth.
One is rice noodles, but when they brought the idea of making pasta back, they substituted with wheat, which was plentiful in Europe. So the
So did
Italian noodle is technically different, but the idea of the
wait.
noodle came from pasta came from
Italian
China.
women, they made pasta from scratch.
Okay, well, how about this
I'm
then?
talking to Joe.
How
I'm
about
talking to
this?
Joe.
For,
No, let me let
he'll accept
actually
Yes,
this.
no. Let me just
He'll
go to
accept
Sway.
this.
yes,
How
but
about
hang on.
Let me.
gunpowder?
I
How
need
about
to go to
Hang on
Sway
a
because
second,
he has
Judge.
been
I think there's
waiting.
a significant point in this. Let me say this. They didn't bring shiploads of noodles in cartons and hand them out. They brought the idea. The Marco Polo spent quite some time
Yeah,
in
that's a myth.
Asia,
I looked
and
it
they
up.
brought back the
That's not
idea.
even a fact. That's somewhat of a myth. Marco Polo did not bring pasta to Sicily.
He brought
So
essentially the
we're
recipe.
regurgitating urban legends. All right, let me
Okay.
just go to Sweeney. Let's go ahead, Sweeney, because you've
Okay.
been waiting.
Yeah, well, you talking about foods, and he's saying, I know, the judge spoke about foods not part of being of slavery or whatever. But I'll give you a food that everybody seems to ingest and believe the hype, the propaganda behind it. But for a majority of melanated beings, that's from even the Asians to the Native Americans and to Black Americans, it does not set well with the body. It causes inflammation, but you don't hear a lot of people talking about it. It's called milk, cow's milk. It does not set well in Black Americans' bodies. It causes inflammation. Any dairy causes inflammation in your body and your joints. So, when he's speaking about food and propaganda and it being slave food, well, I don't know if milk is called slave food, but I know we have to drink milk from cows, and they will rather now in this society that you not breastfeed your child. They want you to give your child all these other man-made milks, and milk from the cow does not do the body good. But besides of that, I keep hearing all of these Christians come up and talk about, heaven, hell, doing the right thing, living by the Bible as the book of truth. And, I'm really flabbergasted because you have beings here that are very spiritual. They've done things righteously, they've been peaceful, and they still ended up dead, assassinated. Yet you still have all of these Christians running around in America claiming we gotta behave in a certain way, and go along in life in a certain way. But there's written verses in the Bible about reparations. And I don't hear Christians talking about restitution and reparations for the Black American Negro freedmen that have been really, we've aligned with the Bible, and we have been these righteous people. So, even in this day and time, we're not going out and slaughtering people. So I'm trying to figure out I'm confused. I'm really confused. One minute is you're doing everything that the devil and the propaganda, the Bible. To me, now I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. I'm real spiritual. What I mean by that, I have my own personal relationship with the higher power. I don't need a man to guide me and tell me what kind of relationship I need to have with the higher power, because the higher power does live and move within me. But anyway, I'm confused. I want to know why people are so religious and believe in everything in the Bible, and reparations and restitution is in the Bible, and it's a First Amendment right. But for some reason, when it's talked about for the freedmen or the Black American Negro, it's not attainable. It can't happen. That's where I just had to throw that out there since we were talking about all this other stuff and propaganda. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Judge. I'll land it there.
Okay, let me add something. You ever heard of it? Look up the Maasai. It's a large African tribe of very, very tall people, and they are into cattle and milk, cheese, and milk byproducts. So there are Africans that do milk. All right. Some Black Americans prosper by it. Some have lactose intolerance once they get out of infancy. But aside from that, perhaps we shouldn't talk about spaghetti and pasta. Let's talk about uh, sodium nitrate or nitrite, charcoal, and sulfur. You mix them together in the right proportion and you have gunpowder. That came from China. But the Europeans, once they got introduced to gunpowder, were able to prosper with it, and they wound up conquering most of the world because they had perfected the mechanisms of using gunpowder. When you ask somebody to give you something or let you have something, you run afoul of one characteristic of humanity. We are at the top of the food chain, absolute top of the food chain on the planet Earth, because we are apparently the best killers that evolution has produced on this planet. We kill better than anything else. Most everything outside of being a microbe is dependent upon our tolerance or our forbearance when it comes to their existence. So you take a creature that got where it got because it's such a profoundly efficient killer, an organized, collective, social killer, and then you turn around and you depend on this particular entity being nice when it has conquered you and taken you and done what it wanted with you, and you say, hey, be nice, develop your conscience, it doesn't always work, and it respects power, authority, and the ability to vest consequence. I would offer the perspective that when you have no consequence to offer for a refusal to accommodate your desires, then you have nothing that you can get because uh, there's no consequence to your circumstances and your request being denied. It's like how we raise our children now. When I grew up, there was the harsh look. The harsh look had been predicated on prior experience, which could escalate into a vicious pinch, or you get taken to the restroom by mama and you get disciplined. And if it got out of hand, it was a backhand across the face and a very unpleasant situation. There were consequences for being disobedient and disrespectful. There are none now, so the children grow up disobedient, disrespectful, and unmotivated and unconnected with reality. At one time, even 30, 40 years ago, part of growing up as a man in the world was learning to deal with a bully. Bullies did not get taught not to be bullies by the teachers and the coaches and the police and the parents. They got taught to not be bullies by their targets, who busted them right in the jaw and gave them a bloody lip or a bloody nose. And that's how bullies learn not to bully. And people learn not to be bullying. But now they don't have that because we don't teach it, because little by little it got into our culture that you're not supposed to stand up for anything and be insistent upon it and willing to use force to acquire it. But we now are supposed to be nice, and we are always supposed to expect that this apex predator in just 25 years or so all of a sudden is going to become universally nice and accommodating. It just doesn't work. Now, I'm offering this as a perspective so one can develop solutions, not just complain about it. I passed the mic.
Duncan, you got your hand up. Go ahead. Anybody want to request to come up, do so, because we will be shutting it down at midnight. Go ahead, Duncan.
Yes, thank you, Dana. Well, some people don't like. Many people don't understand the difference between what we having right now. Right? You have a revolution, and then you have a renaissance. Right? A revolution, I think, is what Judge Joe Brown is talking about. Um, well, it does get. You do have to apply pressure if you go on the revolutionary route. But the goal of a revolution is to win. You're overthrowing it. You doing a straight up revolt, and it's total change. You don't need reparations. Then you could just, um, take acquisition to what belongs to you. That's not reparations. Reparations is a specific debt. With General Sherman Special Field Order 15, that the United States government said is a legitimate debt that is owed to Black Americans. And now they did use force. Black Americans did use force in squashing the South, right? The Confederacy. I think Abraham Lincoln wrote a letter to what that guy name? I think it's James C. Conklin. He wrote it in 1863. But he talked about how he would not have won the Civil War if it was not for black troops. So to dismiss black people and say that we did not apply pressure to get special Field Order 15, because if it wasn't for the black troops, it wouldn't have been no Special Field Order 15. So they already applied that pressure. Now the Renaissance is about an awakening of the mind, galvanizing and organizing around reparations, and not operating outside of the law, but operating inside of the law and doing good politics so we can get what's owed to us. And yeah, we are obligated to get what's owed to us. If somebody owe me some money, they're gonna pay me. And it is what it is. And that's all. That's my opinion. I wanted to say
Well,
we
actually,
are in the Renaissance. You know.
that's a very good observation, sir. That's profound. January 15th, 1865, General Sherman issued that order. It was countermanded July 1865 by Democratic President Johnson, who was a Democrat nominated by the Republican Party as an accommodation to Republican Abraham Lincoln for anticipated purposes of reconciliation after the war was over. Now, black folk did contribute a lot to the victory in the Civil War. If it hadn't been for black troops, 1/3 of the Union Army being black, the Union wouldn't have won. Uh, Grant, commanding general of the Union Army, said that. He acknowledged
But
it
but
fully.
but but will he be able to pull back Special Field Order 15 if these Democrats did not have to murder? Excuse me, did not have to murder a president? They had to murder. The only reason
Well,
we
I
didn't
mean,
get
it
it
doesn't make a
because they
difference.
had to murder a president.
It doesn't make any difference how it came. My first predicate
It
is
does
human.
matter. He's the
No, listen.
president.
Humans are the most violent creature that's ever been on this planet. Now, that said, it's unrealistic not to expect occasional flashes of this underlying characteristic of humanity. We kill better than
Hmm.
anything else on this planet. So we kill, sometimes each other. Every carnivore, every obligate carnivore, every optional omnivore, every predator will kill members of its own kind, including humanity. So it just goes with the territory of being here on Earth. But you were profound in your observations. I like them. I think they
Thank you, Judge.
stated some things that are quite right on point. See, this is what happens. And what gets me is this propaganda that we have been subject to and accepted, glorification of dysfunction, etc., over the last half century. has gotten us to forget what our historical reality is. 1/3 of the Union Army that whipped the South was black. They were brave soldiers. Grant wrote in his memoirs, he said one interesting thing about he called it colored soldiers. He said you didn't have to worry about them being drunk. You never saw one without something to read, something to write with, where they would read and write and try to learn mathematics so they could be better at what they did. I used to require some of my probationers go visit some of the sites in Memphis where slaves hid in the underground, where it's freezing outside. They're in their bare feet, hiding in the walls of a place where they were waiting for a friendly riverboat captain to come down, and they'd take a mining cart and go down a mile-long tunnel to the river and hop on board. But they were always practicing their reading and writing and trying to learn to read and write. What the hell happened when, other thing, Grant conducted a survey at the end of the Civil War. He noted with some surprise, he said initially, until he thought about it, he said the only completely literate units above a certain size in the United States Army were all colored. He said there was not a single white unit of company size where every single person in it was literate in the whole of the Union Army except for the colored troops. And what happened to us being people who craved education, learning, and knowledge, who fought and made enormous sacrifices, dying left and right on blood soaked fields to get freedom, to where we have descended right now, where we don't even comprehend it. And our leaders are not sergeants over platoons or company sergeants or heroic soldiers. They are Chicken George, Al Sharptons, and Cory Bookers, and coon-headed Jasmine Crockett's, and Maxine Wastewaters. What has happened to us?
Propaganda
Yes,
been all over your television,
and
and you got people listening to it every day.
I agree
And
with
that's
you.
exactly what the judge was saying earlier, but
That's it.
people were arguing against that. They
Oh
were,
no, well,
and he was
I
trying to
think
make,
those of us arguing against that are those of us that are here in this space that know better, and we are attempting to make sure we teach and educate our people that this is what's happening.
and that's
And it's
exactly
been
the point that he was
ongoing for a
making, though.
while.
The
Yeah.
point, that's exactly the point, and you're right. That's exactly the point that he's been making. It's the propaganda. It's getting into our heads, into our mind, and driving us in a direction that the enemy wanted to drive us in. That's called propaganda. When we started, when the judge said that we have lost our desire for education, we have lost our desire for knowledge and learning, and he's absolutely right about that. And he
Well,
said,
we're gonna
and
push back. We're gonna push back because the majority of us do not believe in that. Like I'm again stating there's
don't
people
believe
out
in what?
here that, but again, but there's the majority. There's many of us out here. They're not gonna put us on television. They're not going to have us to speak, period. They don't
But
even like us speaking on this app. So that's why we push back with Judge. We push back because we are not what the judge is stating. We're attempting to not repeat and continue the behaviors of what the judge is speaking on and educate our people. But even we get labeled because we are not aligning with the propaganda, and we're attempting to make sure we educate our people that this is the ploy, so that they can make sure that you get in line for your demise, your genocide, your erasure. And soon as we go against, people have a problem with us standing up, speaking out, and want to quiet us as well. Our land.
Well, I appreciate what you said. You're right on point. The only problem is this: when you say the majority of us, you mean the majority of those who are attending this X Space, which, by the way, is sort of a web-based town hall meeting. If you go to a typical town hall meeting, if you've got 60 people there, it's a large gathering. But these town hall meetings add up, and the idea is you teach one, and each one teaches one or 10. So it spreads, and in the current communication system, it takes just 6 days for a fad to start. That fad can be good or bad. 55 years ago, it took 6 weeks. So there is hope, but you have to spread these things. You have to discuss them, hash them out. And the point that I was making was not what seems to be taken. I was merely pointing out that the head of the propaganda section for the alternative major nation, most powerful, second most powerful in the world at the time of the height of the Cold War, 1960s, was talking about how she implemented the propaganda mechanisms of the Soviet Union and how it worked and how insidious it was. So it was an awareness moment. In other words, the class was the Soviet sphere of influence in world politics. How do we get to be influential? This is how we do it. And you need to learn because your government does the same thing too. It just doesn't let you know it. And you do have some control over what your government does, but you so readily let it do it because you invite it. And this is how they do it, one little incremental step at a time. Now, take another
Hey,
example,
my,
toxic masculinity. That is one of the most sickeningly disgusting falsehoods going on because what is being called toxic masculinity is just on the masculine side of human nature. Some people resent men, so they attempt to emasculate them without realizing what that does to diffuse and suppress 50% of the nature of humanity. But over the last 10 years, that sick phrase has taken on a lot of traction because it's being pushed from blue boy in bra and panties in a bubble bath looking like a freak advertising beer to a silly thing put on by an advocate for lesbianism who was hired by Gillette Razors to do a series of demeaning and insulting commercials. It is absolutely ridiculous what they do that we buy into. This whole last election was supposed to be something that cemented this anti masculine sickness. And she lost because they overstepped themselves and they forgot that they did not have all of the people and they started doing another thing that is a reality. They started believing their own propaganda. Remember, tell a lie long enough and loud enough, you can get anyone to believe it, including the liar. And just an illustration of what we have. So the admonition is be careful what you buy into because it might not seem like it has an impact, but there are those puppet masters sitting a long way off who are pulling the strings and they have a plan. I pass the mic.
hey, Judge. I just want to ask. Now, when you're talking about propaganda, would you agree or disagree that propaganda was influential in destroying the USSR?
No.
Um, I
Let me
Okay.
see
tell you. Let
Maya.
me tell you why.
Oh,
Very
well, after
quickly.
y'all finish
Let,
talking,
let me tell you.
after you finish talking, Maya's next.
Let
I
me tell
gotta
you why.
step away for a second.
This same professor I'm talking about allowed me to read a translated paper that was written in 1919. It was by Comrade Lenin. That's what she called him. She actually knew him. She had met him.
Mm-hmm.
And what it said was Russia is not capable of the democratic process or self determination until there are no significant numbers of Russians with a living memory of their enslavement under the czars. He said and predicted that by the last decade of the 20th century, 1990, glasnost and perestroika would be able to be effectuated and the Soviet Union could be dissolved, or Russia could dissolve its communist background because it wouldn't need it anymore. Russia would be capable of self government, self finance, self economics, etc., etc. And in 1990, Gorbachev started talking about glasnost and perestroika. The American press started talking about that was pressure from St. Ron the Reagan up until he was out of office in 1988 and George Herbert Walker Bush took over. But there it is. I read this 30 years before, back in 1967. There is this document written in 1919 by Lenin, and he talked about how the purpose was is to condition the Russian people to be self-sufficient and able to look to themselves and overcome their slave origins. Mao Zedong, if you ever read the Red Book, the quotations of Chairman Mao, which everybody was reading in the 1960s, he talked about the same thing with the Chinese. He talked about the Chinese peasant as essentially a slave. And in order to get him free so he can deal with self determination and exercise power, is to get him to overcome his living memory of enslavement and colonial oppression so that he becomes powerful. And look at China now. They're the second most powerful nation in the world overall, and they're leading in science, industry, and a whole lot of other fields that we are quickly losing our place in because we don't educate our students. Whereas in China, which has the 300 some million that consist of the entirety of the American population, plus a billion extra, and everybody gets as educated as they want to be educated without cost, except the application process of paying attention. Of course, they're getting ahead. They implemented 5 years ago an official man up campaign. What did we do? We tried to sissify the military and turn everything into the rainbow cult. What is going on with our position? We're trying to emasculate the country, and they're trying to say masculinity is a paramount component of a healthy society. They are talking about the importance of masculinity, and our propaganda engines were trying to propagandize the public into buying into toxic masculinity. See the difference?
Did Maya get a chance to speak?
Can you
Maya.
hear me?
We
Can you
hear
hear
you.
me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I wanted to ask, I hear these words being used a lot, like the enemy, the word they, the word puppet master. Who specifically are we talking about?
I can tell you easily those who want to put in the time, energy, and effort to get to the top of the leadership scale. In
Aren't they
our
already there
society, they
though?
can do. What's that?
Aren't they already there?
No, they're not there because they die. Who replaces them?
Okay, so who is this specific group?
Well, it
Who's
can, in
who?
our system, it can be anybody. If you spent the time as a child sitting at your kitchen table, studying with a craving for knowledge and information, with a heavy work ethic, willing to commit the time to learn what you're doing, to work magic that's in these magic books called textbooks and stuff, you can get there. You see, look at Biden, President Biden. He's an awful president, one of the worst we've ever had. but he is essentially urban trailer park trash. But he got to be chief executive for the United States of America. Look at Kamala Harris. She slept her way to the top, but she didn't quite get there, but she got pretty high. She chose to do it one way, he chose to do it another. So there are people who are born into it because their families have generational wealth. But even they have problems with those who are not productive and they are what? Living off of an endowment without contributing anything to the mix. So trust funders, they don't like them either, the ones that make it happen. We have people who've gone through the military. You have generals who come from common backgrounds who made it to being president of the United States, several, as a matter of fact. You have people who have made it through science. You have those who aren't even the mix, who don't even come from here. I'll give you Albert Einstein. Most of what we have to worry about in the world is thanks to his theories. We have nuclear weapons. We also have the means to get off planet and do a whole lot of other things and understand the world around us that we would not have had it not been for his insight. We have Isaac Newton, another quite a bit older physicist, and we have Aristotle. By the way, who else do we know through Aristotle? A military conqueror without parallel. Alexander the Great was Aristotle's number one pupil. So we have this continuity. We have people who are groomed not for perversion, but for future office holding because adults recognize potential in the child and say that child can go someplace. Let's pay special attention to this one. There are all kinds of ways to get to the top in the United States of America. You can be a whore, or you can be a brilliant scientist, you can be a general, you can be a brave man, you can be a conscientious man, you can be a wise man, or you can get to be at the top and be a fool and a criminal. It all depends on how hard you want to work at it. And that's how you get to the top. I am a friend with a person that does the orbital and trajectory calculations for NASA. He's a physicist, a theoretical physicist. He grew up in the hood. He was a U.S. Marine. He wound up getting his college education. He's a great basketball player, and you can see him on the Science Channel. His name is Lucy. But he is a rocket scientist. He came from a common background. You don't hear a lot about him like you do for some other more famous people who do movies and stuff. But he got to the top and he can hang in the hood. He can also hang a satellite within a few meters of something several billion miles away. So it depends on where you are and what you're trying to do. And everything is not held in terms of leadership by holding political office. Some of these politicians are flunkies and figureheads.
So we got about 30 minutes now. Anybody? Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead. You had your hand up. So this is the last call. If anybody else want to come up and speak, and then if not, the people up here could just finish it out. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, thanks. I've got to bounce, Dana, but I want to say great space, Judge. Great space, some incredible insight. And I'm not going to leave without doing a shameless plug for the grand jury Friday night's live stream. I've wrangled Dana in some fancy footwork. I got her in the corner. She's committed. Dana will be a volunteer juror on this week's grand jury. And Judge, I sent you another DM. I'm sure the others got lost in there, but if you're available, I would love to have you on as a guest. Kind of like a prosecutor. I can't put you in the jury box. That would be ridiculous. But I think your insight would be wonderful on these police use of force videos.
Well, be glad to. I tell you what, Dana, please give him my contact information. You can call me directly. All right.
Okay.
I appreciate it, Judge. And thanks, guys. Great discussion tonight. I'm going to get some sleep.
All right. Good night, Joe. Thank you so much. My ancestor, go ahead. You're a new speaker.
Greetings. I have a question I want to ask. What do you think about Donald Trump opening up Alcatraz?
Oh, you talking
Is
about
he?
alligator Alcatraz down in
Yeah.
the internment? Well, it's
Alcatraz, the prison that's in San Francisco, California, and don't forget that is not the only one that's there. They got the Sing Sing and also the Ariel.
it's
And then don't forget about the other prisons. But what do you think about, because Donald Trump is putting money into it right now, opening up Alcatraz?
that's not Alcatraz. I
No,
have toured.
because
I've been in the real Alcatraz. It's not the same. That's just a convenient little catchphrase, but it's a detention facility.
no, you're talking about the one in Louisiana. There's two.
Well, I don't
They
care
have the
how
one
many
in
they have.
Louisiana, and they also have the one that's out here in San Francisco,
They,
where everybody flies out
yeah,
here
I know
to
about
go
that
visit
one.
it.
I've seen it. My in-laws and my last wife were from San Francisco, and I grew up in California. Been to Frisco many, many times and seen Alcatraz over there as you pass down through the bridge. Okay, toured it once. All right, now we need more of these internment camps for the illegals. They shouldn't be here. They've broken the law. They need to be gathered up because some of them contain significant elements of Al Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas. From Iran, we have a bunch of them. We have a bunch, 1.5 million at least, who are military aged Chinese male nationals who mandatorily went through military training, who came in regimented in a military context. We've got the openings wide up so we don't have to have hijacked airliners like we had with 911. We've got the makings of the worst we've ever faced from Pearl Harbor to 911. It's going to be a lot worse when somebody gets the orders to flip the detonation switches on the already in place military grade explosives that have been walked across the border
Let
without
me. Can I
anybody
interject
intervening.
something real quick, Judge? She is correct to what she heard about Trump. He did mention that he announced plans to reopen and expand Alcatraz Island, and he wants, and the project will cost $2 billion. And he actually last week, Attorney General Pam Bondi and Interior Secretary Doug Bergman visited the island
I got that.
to assess the plan. So
I said we
so
needed more
so
detention
no. Just
facilities.
let me just finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
So there is an alligator Alcatraz that's in Florida, but what she's saying as far as the one in San Francisco, he indeed wants to reopen that.
Well, it's an internment camp. Okay, fine. I don't care. They shouldn't be here. You broke the
No,
law.
it's not even about that. How can you sit there and come on? You have been a judge. You have been on these cases. You already know. Even though they turn around and say, hey, this is for them. Hey, this is for that. You already know what they're going to do. And this is the same thing when it goes back to history, repeating itself all over again. And this is the same
What
trickery that
history
they
is
used a
repeating
long
itself?
time
What
ago.
are you talking about?
Oh,
Repeating
come
itself?
on. Let me read all
Okay,
over
let's
again.
try this one
Do you
for.
think that Alcatraz is just going to be utilized for immigrants?
Yeah, likely is
Oh,
not.
come on.
Or
They're
somebody
gonna
who. Wait a
come
minute.
over
Stop. Stop.
and
Stop. Stop.
question
Stop.
you too.
Stop. Let's get a proper perspective. The United States is our home. We live here. We pay taxes here. Most of us were born here. We are citizens in various states. well, of the United States and residents of various states. We have driver's licenses issued by states. We hold property rights issued by various and sundry states. If they reinstitute the draft, you're subject to being drafted. Some of us provided military service. It's our home. Now, you wake up in the middle of the night in your home, your residence, and you find there's a burglar who decided to break into your home. What the hell are you supposed to do? Be nice and invite him for coffee and donuts at your kitchen table after he broke in with the intent to commit a felony against you in your home place? No, you don't. Well, these people broke into
Well,
our
that's what
house
besides
at
the
night.
point,
So you
Judge
put
Joe,
their ass
because
someplace
what
until
about
due
other
process of
drafts?
law operates on them.
Oh, get out of here. That
No,
due
okay, you're
process
crazy.
law
See, you've been
that you already
propagandized.
turned around
Wait, let me ask you
never
a question. Who did
benefited
you vote
us
for? Who did
at
you vote for this
all when
last
it comes.
election?
Let me ask
Who'd
you
you
one
vote for
question.
this last election?
Come that you did not
Who did
get
you
rid
vote for
of the
this
black
last
code
election?
laws or
Who
the
did
black
you vote
road
for this
laws
last
the whole
election?
time you have been a judge?
Yes, due process
You
of
didn't
law.
do that. Or when with all the people you've been around, why are they still in fruition? Why are they still being exercised? Why do we still turn around and have sundown towns? Why didn't anybody get rid of any of that stuff?
Well,
You
let's
guys
put it
got
this
all
way.
this power and do so much. But what have you actually done besides saying that what you can say now? As far as what? When the last time you turn around, do you have your own school? Do you have your own hospital?
I've
Do you
taught
have
school. I've been on
everything
boards
else
for
that needs
Wait,
to be
where's
hospitals.
this
done?
I've
hold
done
on,
this.
hold on.
So
Where's
where in
this
the hell are
what
you
I don't
going with
where's this
this?
conversation going?
Yeah, you sound like a propagandist for the Democratic Party. What is your point?
Oh my God. Look, let me tell you something. The Republicans and the Democrats, y'all all
I
sleep
don't want to
together.
hear that
You
garbage.
already
I don't
know.
want to hear
Y'all
that garbage.
sleeping
The
together. Y'all
Democratic
probably
Party is a
walking together and
residuum of
everything else.
slavery, and it is propagandizing the country to try and emasculate itself. It is trying to impose the rainbow cult as the official cultist philosophy of the United States. You can't do that with Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism,
Oh, this has
Confucianism, or
nothing to
anything
do with
else.
religion.
So they're subverting
Nothing
our
at all to do.
government. So are you on
Nothing
that
to do with
side?
religion.
What the hell do you
And
care about whether or not somebody who has invaded your home place, burglarized the damn thing, snuck in, and is trying to have a bowl of cornflakes sitting on your sofa that they stole out of your refrigerator? And you
all right
want to
then, so
worry
what are you
about
gonna
where
do
they
about
put them while they're
where
waiting
the
for them to
schools
be
at?
processed?
Where the hospitals at?
So wait, I have a
Because you guys
question.
make the
One
money.
second, I
What's
have
the
a
matter with
question.
you?
1 second, I have a question. Are you a Pan African, my ancestor?
It's not even about that. It's
No,
about
I'm just
you
asking you a question. Are
marrying.
are you a Pan
I
Africanist?
don't even know what that means.
Are you
I'm
well you
just
have the
talking about
colors.
all together.
Hold on. You have the colors of the Pan African nation in your picture here. So that's why I'm asking. Are you a Pan Africanist?
Well, everybody has this judgment, and everybody wants to put a label on it, and everybody wants to turn around and they want to be tribal. I am all that I say I am. There is truth
What
in
are you?
everything.
We're asking you. Tell us.
What do you mean? What I am my grandmother and my grandfather.
Okay,
My
good. What
great
are you?
grandmother and my great grandfather. That's who I
What
am.
are you?
What are you?
What
What
are
are
you?
you? What are you? I'm Weckerpeck.
What?
That's
Wait a
what
minute.
I
What
am.
did you just say?
Weckerpeck.
What is a Weckerpeck?
Weckerpeck.
What
It
is that?
comes out of North Carolina.
Okay, fine. How old are you?
I'm 53 years old.
All right, fine. So that means you were born about 1970 something. 72?
71.
71. All right, so you're 53 years old. All right, okay, fine. Now, what does that mean when you claim that status? See, I'm listening to your
Well,
perspective. You are offended because somebody is doing what humans do all the time, which is selfishly look after their own interest. That's a problem right now. Is this group that's trying to propagandize the nation into being receptive to being taken over by the rainbow cult? It is trying to propagandize the
rainbow.
people
Oh,
into
man,
thinking that, guess
you
what?
come up
They
with
need to
that.
be good to
You
everybody else
anyway, you
instead
gonna
of
let
taking a
me answer the
personal
question?
interest. Now, where are you coming
Do you
from?
want me to answer the question? Do you want me to answer the question because you
Please go
asking me a
ahead.
question?
I ask you. Answer it. I'll
You
be
asked.
quiet. Yeah.
Okay, so I know that what my ancestors accomplished. I know how they created communities. I know when they did create these communities, this wasn't Black Panthers around or anything like that. They did this on their own, right? Because they wanted something better for themselves and their families. So it's about having it in your DNA, and it's not about having anything tribal. It's about what do you want better for yourself as an individual.
So, what is
So
your
really,
point? What's your point
it's
with opening up detention facilities for people who burglarize the borders?
oh my God, you still talking about that yet?
Yeah.
Them jokers allowed him to come in here. Look, this
Excuse
how I
me.
know. One president said, yeah, let him in, let him in.
Yeah.
The other one said, no, sit. The other one said, no,
Yeah, and
let
also
him in.
lock up Bass
Oh,
and
man,
Newsom for violating
crazy.
Title 8, Section 1324. It's a crime you're looking at. It's rampant. How can you expect children to behave lawfully in the streets when the people at the top are committing felonies left and right and expressing their support for felonious behavior by violating Title 8, Section 1324 of the United States Criminal Codes? How
And
do you
how long does
expect
it
the
take for
children to
them to change
behave when
something?
the adults who are supposed to be running the thing have a problem with the lawlessness, don't have a problem with behaving in a lawless fashion so they can impose their cult? What do you think they're supposed to do?
All right, I need to go to another speaker because I did say please don't wait for the last 10-15 minutes, and Jason did. But I want to go to the thinker and Jason, and then we're going to close out. Go ahead, the thinker.
Good evening, Dana and Judge.
All right.
I'm a huge fan. So, can you hear me okay?
I hear you.
Yes.
So, I have a question and about the treason. What treason is, with the stuff going on with Tulsi and Barack. When I look up treason in the Constitution, it talks about waging war or um or trying to give aid to enemies. So I was wanting to get your perspective, Judge, about, if Tulsi and, I heard Trump even say this is treason with some of the manufactured intelligence that Barack kind of set up with his team. What does that really mean? And who has been like accused of treason in our past history? I just want to get your perspective because that seems like it's very high, lofty and interesting to me.
Well, treason is a catchphrase. It's been used a lot, and a lot of people have been accused of it officially in other places. If you read what it says about treason in the U.S. Constitution, it is very specific, and in fact, it's the only crime specified in the Constitution and defined in the Constitution. Uh, it is a very, very limited thing with very, very limited application. It requires a certain number of witnesses and a certain standard of proof. Now, likely is not, Barack Obama is not going to be tried for treason. And the recent rulings about things done in the course of his administration as chief executive for the country are going to exempt him from any liability. It just shows that we made a mistake and people jumped at appearances rather than realities. And I think what Trump is doing is typical political theater to make a point. It's like a political cartoon. The aspects of the character are the aspects of the person being uh, spoofed in the character or exaggerated. So that's what you have, political theater. It goes with the territory.
Okay, thank you. I get it.
All right.
Jason?
I apologize for breaking your rules, Dana.
No, I was
hit a
only
button.
joking.
Okay.
Go first.
Judge, as a cop of 30 years, I respect the hell out of you and your wisdom. I appreciate that. The other thing I want to say is I have no idea what my ancestry's point was at all. I'm still confused about that, but I would look forward to seeing you guys on Friday night. It'll be a good space.
Are you gonna be on?
Stay
You're
safe.
gonna be one of the jurors on in Joe's show?
No, I'm an expert witness.
Oh, I thought okay, cool.
So if you have cop questions, that's where I'm at.
How'd you like my
Well, he said
analogy?
that he didn't have understanding about me, my answers. Can I respond to Jason and clear
I
up?
just don't know what
any-
your point is, and you talk in circles. I don't know what you were trying to say.
Explain
What I'm
yourself.
trying to say is obvious.
What?
Obvious. What's going
I wouldn't
on?
ask if it was
The
obvious.
point
It was
that
not
is
obvious.
what's going on is how long are we gonna turn around and condone bad behavior?
What
That's
is?
what I'm bringing up.
What
And that's what
behavior?
I'm saying. The
Yeah.
bad
What is the behavior you're
how
talking about?
how long are we gonna condone the bad behavior? I'm giving you an
What?
example
Okay.
of the
Help
bad
us. Help
behavior.
us. What is the bad
What do you mean
behavior?
help us? You
We
already
don't
know
get
the
it.
bad behavior,
We
Joe.
don't get it.
You already know. Look at what's going on right now. Look at what's going on with
Wait. Let's
Alcatraz.
stop a second.
Look at what's going
We're
on
not
everything.
following you. What are you calling bad behavior?
Bad behavior. Do we have to turn around? You know what? I don't think we have enough room in order for me to write down every exact bad behavior.
Can you give one example of what bad behavior you're talking about? Maybe we can.
I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about when it already came to the point when Donald Trump came in office and what Israel turnaround they did.
What does he do? What are you talking about? We don't get it. See, most of us on here fully support what he's doing. So we don't get what you're talking about. It's like you coming into church like the bishop was talking about.
So you're trying
and
to
the
say that
preacher is
everybody
on the
on
pulpit
here
and you're
is in
trying to attack
agreement
the faith.
with
So what
him
is it you're doing?
opening up Alcatraz?
It sounds like you're saying that Donald Trump is opening up prisons for black people to enslave black folk. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
How do you make that leap from somebody that burglarized the country's borders to that's supposed to be aimed at black
This is the
folks?
thing right here. It's not about someone burglarizing anything, because you have to turn around that the corporations, let alone with the United government, have turned around and made agreements to go along with having these type of actions altogether, and they have. They made agreements, and then when they get tired of the little trinket, they throw it out, and then they want to do something else. And they're known to do. They use people all the time.
Anyway, guys, Judge Dana,
using them to build up whatever they
Judge
need to build up as
I
far
appreciate.
as whatever economic.
One second, and wait 1 second, ancestor. Go ahead, Jason. What you say?
I have no idea what she's talking about. I just want to say, Judge and Dana, we're gonna have fun on Friday night. You guys have a great night. You guys stay safe.
I sense a great deal of anger that is without direction, but go ahead. Keep going, ma'am. I'm still trying to understand what you're talking about.
Well, we got about 5 more minutes, and then we're going to be wrapping it up.
What are you, a preacher now?
Yeah, that
this
too.
This is a thing right here.
I've done that. Go ahead.
Judge Brown. Really?
I've
you
done
already
that.
know what they doing. You didn't see the
I
records.
don't
You
make,
already know
I
what
don't,
they do.
everything in the
You
United,
know goodness well they trying to
everything,
kill us in hospitals, in the school
everything in the
systems,
United
Wait, let me
States.
ask the
colleges,
ancestor. Let me ask my
everything.
ancestor a question. Did you vote last year?
I always go to the polls. Matter of fact, I work the
So who
polls.
did you vote for
That's
last
what I
year?
asked you 5 minutes ago.
I put myself in there.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So you
Well,
did it right.
here's
But
the
I
problem.
wasn't going there to vote for that. I was coming in there because I wanted to see what they were doing in the state. That's what I was trying to do.
Right.
See,
So did you
a
vote
lot
in
of
your state of
times
North
brothers and
Carolina?
sisters go to vote about the president.
Right.
I really want to know what my state is doing.
Right. That's important. So did you
Yeah.
vote in your state or did you write your name in for the state as well?
No, I voted in my state.
Who did you vote for in your state?
I don't have to tell you who I voted for.
Well, you
Why
don't
not?
have to, but we just
Because it's
asked.
I'm
either
in
going it's either
California,
Democrat,
and I'm not
it's
going to
either
tell you who
Democrat
I
or
voted.
Republican or
Nope.
whoever ran as an
Nope. I
independent.
don't have to tell you who I voted for.
Okay, fine. You answered the question. Now, next thing, I think you're going up the wrong alley if you start saying that all of this effort is directed clandestinely against black people in America. I would submit it's not. It might be used that way. That depends upon what kind of power and authority the tentative or putative targets you're talking about exhibit. If you've got the type of representation that looks like us right now, yeah, there's a possibility they might help it out because they have a coalition, the rainbow cult they're trying to push. And we aren't part of that except to put these people in place as full representatives to push the rainbow cult.
All right, so I want to let people that's up as I see two requests. I'm gonna let nobody up because I'm gonna start winding it down. I want to so anybody up here want to say any last words? The floor is open.
I'd
Um,
like to real quick, Dan, if it's okay.
How do we know it's really Judge Joe Brown?
Oh, get
I
Because
just
they
over
can
it.
do.
well we don't know we're guessing my ancestors, but just mute up for a second. Go ahead, Bishop.
He
Listen,
could
I
be
just want to,
tricking us.
Yeah, I
I
do
just,
this all the time. It's my fantasy to trick people. If you don't recognize my voice, okay, fine. I'm
Oh
AI.
my God. You know
I'm
people can do
AI. That's what I'm
ventriloquist.
doing. I'm AI. I'm not really here. This is an artificial construct. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, Dana and Judge, I've had an interesting time here listening to you. I'd like to continue following you guys. I don't know how to do that. I'm not that new to X, but I am new to Spaces, and this is actually the first one I've been in. Just want to say this. I know there may be some people on here who do not believe in the Bible, and that's fine. But I want to say this. A lot of what the judge has been talking about and a lot of the problems that we have are because of the fact that we have lost our understanding of who we are. We're God's children. We don't wake ourselves up in the morning. He does. I have been beside many, many deathbeds. And the things that I have seen, you cannot tell me, along with the word, that there's not a heaven and a hell. If you don't believe that, that's fine. But there is going to come a day that you will know. And at that time, you're going to find out. We don't have, that's why I don't argue the word with people. I put it out there, talk to them about it, tell them what's up. But one day, we're not going to have to argue about it. And you're going to be surprised. All I'm saying is this. If you don't believe in the Bible, I invite you to try to ask the Lord to help you. If you do believe in it, but you don't believe everything in it, that's fine as well. But I'm telling you that the word is true. All of it is true. And everything that's
We
happening
created
today,
our own heaven and hell.
My
everything,
We
ancestor,
created
please
everything.
do
our
not.
own heaven
My
and hell.
ancestor, please do not interrupt when somebody is speaking. Go ahead and
Thank
finish
you.
making your point, Bishop.
And very quickly, like I said, everything that's happening today was already written in the Bible. It was foretold in the Bible. The problem is that we haven't been taught properly. There's been a lot of fake pastors. There's been a lot of fake people out there that have misrepresented it. I don't do that. And all I'm saying is I love all people, but all people aren't good, and all people are not bad. It's good that we have spaces like this because, as the judge said earlier, we can hash out and talk about these things. The problem has gotten to be is that we no longer can do it on a constructive basis. Everybody's got to be right. Everybody can't be right. So I'm saying always listen and consider what other folks say because that's how you learn. We don't know everything. I don't know everything, but I certainly know a whole lot more than most of you do. Judge Brown knows a whole lot more than a lot of us do. So there's people that we can learn from, but sometimes you actually have to listen and receive it. And it's the same way with the Bible. When
How
you
do you
read,
know that you or the judge know a whole lot more than a lot of other people that may be in this space?
I'm not trying to be denigrative. I'm not saying that you're dumb or that we're better.
I know I'm not. I don't think you're saying
Let
that
me,
either.
let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Okay, because I don't want it to be misconstrued. There's things that you know, Dana. There's a lot of things that you know that I don't know. See, I just used us as an example. Everybody here. So let me rephrase that. Everybody here knows something that everybody else doesn't know, and sometimes it's a lot, and sometimes it's a little. I know that Judge Brown has a full, an extreme grasp of history. I I'm the same. And when I say that is that the reason why you hear the things that you hear, Judge Brown just puts it out there in more of a colorful context at times, and sometimes that's needed. But he brings information and he's trying to tell folks about the unseen enemy that we are fighting against that we don't even know it's the enemy that we're fighting against because we're too busy fighting against each other. That's what I'm saying. So I want to follow this group, Dana, if possible. Judge, I would love to be able to talk to you. I don't know. I've been, like I said, I've been following you for a long time, and I would love to be able to talk with you. If so, please, Dana, give them my information, whatever, however y'all do it. But Judge, I would appreciate to be able to talk with you. All of you people that are here, God bless all of you. I hope you've learned something. And I hope that what you take away is the good part of.
So let me ask you one last question, Bishop, and then I'm gonna go to B Wayne, then Sway Me. Did you learn anything from this space today,
I most certainly did.
aside from what the judge was saying?
Outside of what the judge, yes, I did.
Okay, that's good.
There was a lady that just asked the question about treason. I thought that was a very interesting question because I have not heard anybody ask, "What is the term of treason?" And I listened to the judge's answer, and I understood the judge's answer. Okay, based on the Constitution. So I did learn something. Okay.
Okay.
There are other things that I've learned as well. So I
All
want to,
right.
like I said, I want to follow this. I'm going to get off of here because I know you're closing down. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you for allowing me to speak. God bless each and every one of you. And I look forward to hearing y'all again. Take care.
All right, same to you.
Thank
Um,
you, Bishop. I
B
appreciate that.
B Wayne, Sway
Anytime,
Me.
anytime, Judge.
Quite
Go
welcome.
ahead, B Wayne.
And
What are your
Dana,
last
please
remarks?
hook him up so he can get with me if you know how
Well,
to get
I
him.
don't know if he has to follow me. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's fine.
I'll follow you. I'll do that right now.
Okay.
I'll go.
Go ahead, B Wayne.
Thank you, Dana. I just wanted to say thank you to both you, Dana, and Judge Joe Brown. It's been a real pleasure getting to speak to you both tonight, and very, very educational. A real honor. Thanks for giving me a mic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you both on the grand jury. Thank you for doing that, and have a great night.
All right, you too. Looking forward to it too. Sway me.
Well, I'll say again, thank you, Dana and Judge Joe Brown. Of course, you know, I always have questions. I do not feel like my question was answered about reparations and restitution in the Bible. I'm going to stick to that because it seems to be the rules are applied differently when it comes to a certain group of authentic original Americans when it comes to reparations and restitution. There seems to be like even the biblical verses go out the water, and then of course the Constitution is not applied as well. So I'm always, and I'm gonna continue to harp on that because that's the big discrepancy I see amongst our people right now. And that as soon as we start talking about it, we got people telling us, oh, you can't get no reparations, but Japanese, Jews, Guam, Cubans, everybody else can get reparations. But the Black American Negro freedmen that are still being discriminated against, and we know immigration is being utilized right now to ethnocide, genocide, and erase us. So I landed there.
If I can reply to you very briefly, the Black Caucus in Congress, House and Senate, is certainly large and influential enough to do something about kickstarting reparations. It does not. You might want to contemplate what kind of representation or misrepresentation you're getting from that group.
Oh yeah, we're calling them out, Judge Joe Brown. We got it.
Well, yeah,
And we need to do a little bit more of other things and ostracizing them, you know, as well, because speaking on it, we've been speaking on it. They even took a poll back in 2021, and we made sure reparations was top of the poll for the Congressional Black Caucus. They know exactly what they're doing. They're part of the immigrants that are taking over the government and speaking in our spaces as our people, politicians.
I
That
would
is a huge problem.
I would submit to you that they're part of a new religion that wants to supplant what you find in the Bible. It's called the rainbow cult. It's not homosexuality per se. It is the cult that has grown up where that thing is part of their communion, so to speak. And they have a nihilistic philosophy of self hate, where primary mantra is be what you want to be rather than what you are. Abandon all obligations, accountabilities, responsibilities, etc., etc. Just be interested in yourself selfishly and impose the cult by any means necessary. So that's what we're getting, and that's a trend that doesn't just embrace the Black Caucus, but a whole lot of American politics. And by the way, you can check the Liberty Caucus. That's the gay caucus in Congress, and you'll find that just about every single member of the Black Caucus is also a member of that particular caucus. You will also find there are a lot of whites in the Black Caucus. And as a matter of fact, one of the problems is up until recently, the chair of the Black Caucus's Reparations Committee was Representative Steve Cohen from the 9th District here in Memphis, and Cohen is a gay, white, Jewish guy. So that's who was in charge of the Black Caucus's Reparations Committee for a number of years.
Along with Sheila Jackson Lee, the
Well,
immigrant that made sure they
I don't
teamed up
care
together.
about being immigrant. She has the color scheme, but Steve Cohen is gay, white, and Jewish, and he was head of the Black Caucus's Reparations Committee. He's from Memphis, the 9th District here.
All right. Maya, did
Yeah,
you want
this
to?
is the thing right here that I
No,
was.
I said Maya, not my ancestor.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I thought we were ending, but I can go
No,
ahead. I
yeah,
just
we
want
are in. No, we're ending. So, do you have any last remarks saying now? Because I'm about to close out.
Oh, I just wanted to go back to Bishop when he was saying something about learning from others, so on and so forth, and what he learned. But at the same time, you should always fact check what your uh, claiming to be true. I mean, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
And when Judge Joe Brown speaks, yeah, of course, he has a lot of knowledge and wisdom, and so yeah, of course, you're going to think most of what he says or all of what he says is true. But then there are others where you just want to do a little research, make sure that you're not letting someone manipulate you into thinking, the wrong way.
Everybody could be fact checked, and but I think that's the due diligence that every person should do. You should do your own research. You should not take what somebody says as face value. There are people who are experts in certain fields, and sometimes even so, and I understand that part, but even with that, you're right, it is our responsibility to do our due diligence and do our research. And but that's the problem, and I would say that's one of the detriments of social media. People put something out and the masses believe it.
Right, because rumors and lies spread faster than the truth being told. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. All right.
If I can
Oh,
offer up one danger to this whole thing, everything is not going to be on the net. And there is an extreme reluctance I have seen recently to accept anything that's not documented on the net. There are family histories, personal knowledge, experiences, things that brilliant people have thought of that have not been published, so they wouldn't be on the net. So truth has no face but truth itself, and we would do ourselves a grave disservice of saying we reject something out of hand because we don't find it on the net.
hey, hell I'm out. No one's not saying that, and I never said that.
I didn't
You're
say you. I just
No,
said
I'm
I just.
what I'm so let me make myself clear. When I say people need to do their due diligence, that doesn't mean surf the internet. Sometimes you could find some citations or sources, but then other times, yes, you need to go to the library. You need to go, whether it's to your local museum or other establishments, or you need to go and talk to people that can give you verbal history and knowledge and information. So research is research. It's not just designated to the internet.
Right. And you
All
said
right,
to
so
yourself, Judge, that, what's the quote that you always use? If you spread a lie long or tell a lie long enough, the people will believe it. And the
That's Goebbels,
yeah,
Nazi minister propaganda. He said, "Tell a lie long enough, loud enough, you can get anyone to believe it."
right.
right. So I want to go to the thinker. And Jason, didn't you speak? I think. Do you have your closing remarks, Jason? Um.
I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
Yes. So I want
You.
to the thinker, and then we're gonna close out because I'm tired. Go ahead, the thinker.
Thank you. I appreciate the space. I'm Dana and Judge Joe Brown, and I try to listen every week. I also go back and watch the replays on YouTube. So I don't take this space or this learning, this wisdom, I don't take it for granted. One of the things that I have learned in the past is I was taught to respect your elders, and we can all learn from people who have been there. It says you can learn from people who have been there because you just got here. So I appreciate, that value, that principle that I was taught. I also understand, like, nowadays with the propaganda, the stuff that Judge has been talking to us about, the truth is um hard for some people to see, and I really appreciate the judge and you, Dana, bringing these things that people need to see clearly, clarity, the ideologies, the systems, the facts, where we can actually do critical thinking. Instead of nowadays, I'm seeing a lot of the large cults, like Joe Brown was saying. And also, I'm seeing little small cults. It's more little small cults that are popping up, it's in the neighborhoods and the communities and the churches. I mean, there's so many different small cults that are popping up, and people are becoming separated. People are not united. People are believing. I've never heard what a North Carolina Weckapecker is, whatever that is. Never ever in my life heard of that. Um, so then going forward in the future, I do think that it is important for us to, sit at the feet of, like you, Dana, and Judge Joe Brown, because he's not just bringing hypotheticals or hyperbole. He's actually experienced. He has facts. He has a perspective that I know if I went to law school now or went in the past, I wouldn't have it. He has a perspective that I know many of us do not have, and I appreciate it because you're not even paying a dime. We're not paying. We do contribute, like on your YouTube, to support you, Dana, but we don't do enough. I don't think we as individuals do enough to support Judge Joe Brown and Dana and what they're doing, and we'll look back in 15 to 20 years and see how valuable this was. So I just appreciate you sticking with us, Dana and Judge Joe Brown, because it is something you're laboring and helping us get clarity. So that's my closing remarks.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate everybody on YouTube in the chat, listening on YouTube. Appreciate you guys. Not once did I say for people to repost this space, but everybody listening, and especially everybody that came up to speak. Appreciate everything you guys had to say. Respect what you said as well. So thank you for taking the time out to be. And this is really the judge's space. I just help facilitate it and put my 2 cents in. So I appreciate everyone, and make sure you have a wonderful week. And go ahead, Judge, and close us out.
Okay. Hey, I learned some things today, a couple of perspectives that were different that I'm going to investigate. Always be receptive to knowledge, information, and analysis. Humans work best when they have a perceived purpose and cause. What we have is that society has been stripped of a large purpose and cause, and we find all of these little small causes, as our next to last speaker so eloquently put it. And when you give someone a purpose or a cause, they can endure a lot, achieve a lot, and accomplish a lot that they otherwise could not get, because without that purpose and cause, sometimes the result is terminal despair. Over a 10-year period, the statewide recidivism rate in Tennessee started off at 84%. That means 84% of the convicted felons would be back again. In my courtroom, when I retired, it was down to just 18% and dropped. I'd counsel individual defendants or anybody that I'd set a bond for or put on rotation. And I gave them a purpose and a cause. So that was a justification for enduring what may have been actual hell for them, and give them cause to see things through so they could accomplish an objective. Soldiers who believe in their causes will put up with the worst hardships to be good soldiers. If they have no perceived purpose in a cause, whether it is defending the homeland or conquering in the name of Rome, they won't put up with those things. And the same thing with civilians. If you don't give them some reason to do what they need to do, they won't do it. That said, it was interesting tonight. Another one of those open mic moments. So everybody